And now, Knock 2 Studios presents Common Censored.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Common Censored. Thanks for being here, all of you censored commoners. I'm Lord Sterling, and this is episode 349. We have allegations that Epstein is alive and well, working for Mossad. We have updates from Alina Habba saying that Epstein prosecutions are coming. Ukraine agrees to a 30-day ceasefire with Russia. With Mother Russia. Meanwhile, Jamie White and Elon Musk and others were both on a Ukrainian hit list. That's pretty fucked up. As USAID has been busted shredding documents, destroying evidence. Big episode today. As always, thanks for joining us, everybody. Make sure to tune in Monday through Friday, 6:45 p.m.-ish Eastern Time, as we cover all the crazy clown world clusterfuck chaos that is 2025. And sorry for the late start today. The time change is fucking with me, man. It's an hour earlier than it should be, or than it was, or is, or whatever, when we figure out this daylight savings time stuff. Which way are we going to go? Are we going to lock it in with the daylight savings time like it is now? I like that. That would give us an hour extra light in the afternoon during the winter. I say we do that. But yeah, I wake up super late. So 1 hour difference fucks me all up when it comes to getting on time for the show. So sorry about that. Make sure to use hashtag Common Censored and hashtag InfoInfantry where applicable when you share the show. You can find us on X at Lord Sterling _. We're also on Truth Getter, Gab, and Minds. A big thank you to our new followers over on Rumble. Appreciate you guys. We're just about to crack 1,700, I think. So if you're new to the show, smash that follow button. Help us hit 2,000 before Bill. Links to all of the sources for everything we cover today will be posted down in the video description on Rumble after the broadcast, as well as in the feed over in the replies under the X feed, if that's working today. Are we live on X? Can anybody tell me? Let me know if you have an answer to that. Mama Mac will also be adding timestamps to all the sources in the video description, or at least a lot of them. So you'll be able to, if you're watching this later on, be able to maximize the efficiency of your time, focus, and attention by clicking down there, skimming through the topics we cover and jumping right to the point in the broadcast where we cover those topics. Mama Mac says we're live on X. Makes sense. Probably glitched out yesterday after they got hacked or cyber attacked or whatever. So probably just never connected the way we're supposed to, unfortunately. Throw Mama Mac some love over at alplama.com. Alplama, yo mama, so to speak. Avoid the petrochemical pharmaceutical industry that wants you sick and dependent. Try some natural tinctures to remedy your ailments. Alplama, yuck. Tastes bad, but so good for you, right, Mama Mac? And if you want to support the show, you can hit up our link tree at Common Censored. Find our merch, our books, our affiliate link to Golden Cocoon to pick up a modern-day newfangled tinfoil hat for the most discerning of conspiracy realists. Disclaimer. Views expressed on Common Censored are only opinions. Assume everything we say is false and research for yourself. We're not giving medical, financial, or legal advice. The only advice we are giving is think for yourself. Question authority. Think for yourself. Question authority. Boom! All right, let's jump into the news. So, we have some interesting information coming out regarding Kash Patel and Pam Bondi. Now that this isn't necessarily saying anything, but it's being reported that FBI Director Kash Patel has reportedly requested a direct, secure line from his home and FBI office to the Oval Office, bypassing Attorney General Pam Bondi and the traditional chain of command per Wall Street Journal. I think this is a good idea. I don't see anything wrong with Kash Patel having a direct line to the White House, especially considering Pam Bondi is kind of sketchy, red flag laws, all that kind of stuff. So this is an interesting report. Here's the trending topic over here. People saying Pam Bondi can't be trusted. So Kash is trying to circumvent her. FBI director requests direct line to Trump, bypasses AG. FBI director Kash Patel has reportedly requested a direct, secure communication line from both his residence and FBI office to the Oval Office, bypassing Attorney General Pam Bondi and traditional protocol. This request, if confirmed, raises questions about the independence of the FBI and its relationship with the executive branch. Well, the FBI is not independent, and it is part of the executive branch, so it shouldn't be independent. The idea that it's independent is asinine, in my opinion. So who cares about that? The intention behind this move and its implications on the chain of command within the federal government are under scrutiny. Oh, all it would take is for Trump to say, okay, we're changing the chain of command. There you go. He's the executive. That's all he's got to do. Who fucking cares about that? But it is interesting, the implications. MAGA voice saying, get the job done. Paul at Woman Definer saying, I tried to warn everybody about Bondi when he picked her. The general talking about it as well. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. Does this say anything about Pam Bondi, or is it just Kash trying to make operations more efficient and to coordinate better with the POTUS? Let me know what you guys think about that. I thought it was kind of interesting. I don't see anything wrong with it. Catherine says, I hope I'm wrong, but it's starting to look like Kash Patel and Pam Bondi aren't going to have a very good working relationship. That could be this could be indicative of that. The skiff posting FBI Director Kash Patel requested a private encrypted communications line. This means people and comms are compromised. Who and what is the $1 million question? Sarcastic Dave 74 saying, lots of us had serious doubts about Bondi as soon as she was announced. Suspect everyone and trust no one, says Arrow Fine. Something seems really sketchy about this, is the comment or the gif there. So, pretty interesting. This comes shortly after Tom Fitton expressed disappointment regarding Pam Bondi. This has been on the list for a day or two. Oh, real quick before we get into that, looks like we just got raided. Launch the cows, man. The battlements arm the parapets. We're being raided by the Nunn Report. None other than the Nunn Report. Dan Nunn. What's going on, Dan? Hope all is well over there. They're just wrapping up episode 625 at the Nunn Report. Rebel.com/C/The Nunn Report. If you're not already subscribed over there, what is wrong with you, man? You gotta follow the Nunn Report. That is the place to go when there's a rally or something like that. I see Toruk Makto, #1, hanging out over there. T. McGroin, Wendy Wild, Bob the comedian. What's up? Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Looks like they're on Rumble Premium section now, so we can't rewind and see what they were covering today. But thanks so much for the raid, guys. If you haven't already launched the cows and launched the arrows, hold off, because it would be friendly fire. Just lower the drawbridge and let them on in. Welcome, Nunn Report viewers. Thanks for joining us today. So Tom Fitton had a little bit of a problem with the DOJ and Pam Bondi recently. Hearing in federal court this afternoon. This is from March 7th on Friday, saying disappointing. Pam Bondi, DOJ, and Marco Rubio, State Department, are sending lawyers to court to fight us in order to hide who U.S. aid was giving our money to in Gaza. That's interesting. Very interesting. Stonewalled by USAID, says Tom Fitton. USAID is a nightmare for transparency. Judicial Watch filed a lawsuit a few weeks ago about the USAID giving $24 million to Gaza, and they don't want to tell us who exactly is getting the money. Well, that's weird. This is a little bit outdated right now, but it'll give background information. Now, the Bondi's DOJ and Rubio's State Department are actively intervening and trying to prevent Judicial Watch from getting this information, allegedly. Renee Harrington Painter, welcome to the show, Renee. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoy the broadcast. Boom! Let's check out this little clip from Tom Fitton before the plot thickens even further.
USAID, it's a nightmare a nightmare when it comes to transparency. Right this second, they are still fighting us about, we sued, and I told you about the lawsuit a few weeks ago. Prior to, I think, most of this coming down, USAID was giving money to Gaza, groups in Gaza, and we wanted the details. I think it was $24 million. Was it $24 million? I think it was $24 million. Let me look at the press release. $27 million.
What a sale!
And there were recipients of that money, and they don't want to tell us who the recipients are. How do you like that?
Hey, Wendy.
Now, they're supposed to get back to us soon about this. It'll be interesting to see if the Trump administration is going to change their transparency views from the Biden people. But you know why they don't want to give us the names of or the entities they were giving money to in Gaza. I guarantee you they're connected to Hamas and terrorism. I guarantee you.
Very interesting. Very
USAID,
interesting. So typically, I would imagine that Pam Bondi would more be interested in protecting Israel. So that's a little bit interesting, I will say. Meanwhile, Tucker Carlson suggests that a, quote, force, unquote, is acting upon the Trump administration to prevent the release of JFK and Epstein documents. Quote, the story doesn't add up. We can say with certainty that there is a force that is acting on these people, a very serious force, to the point that they are embarrassing themselves because they promised they would release this and they haven't. Very interesting, very interesting. He also is accusing Tom Cotton of blocking the JFK files. Tucker Carlson has claimed on his show that GOP Senator Tom Cotton has played a role in preventing the release of the JFK files, suggesting that Cotton intervened when someone who would push for their release was considered for a position in the intelligence community. These allegations have stirred discussions on social media, with many questioning why such files remain undisclosed. However, there is no confirmation or direct evidence from official channels regarding these claims against Senator Cotton. Here's a clip from Chief Nade saying, we'll just watch the clip. I won't read the quote since they're going to say it.
From from whatever group has been able to keep these files secret for 62 years. So my question to you is like, what is that?
Renee.
Why have these been secret for so long?
Look, the idea of the deep state to me is a convenience more than it is a reality. It's a boogeyman. Why don't they put it out? Because institutions protect themselves, Tucker, as we both know.
Really?
And there is clearly information in those files that are going to make the CIA look bad.
Just the CIA?
Well, whatever. Different agencies.
No, not whatever. I don't know
because I haven't seen it.
Well, so here's,
but it could be the FBI, it could be the CIA.
Okay, so I've always thought that.
Crazy B in the chat. What's going on, Crazy B? Make sure to check out Crazy B's podcast, Questions That Need Answers. Great show. Thanks, Crazy B, for participating in the information war. We love you and appreciate you. And Wood Geek, what's up, Wood Geek?
And then in January, there was a scramble over who's going to get what jobs in the new administration. And at one point, there was someone who was being discussed for a job in the intel world, and a member of the SSCI, the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence and Intel Committee, went to the people making the decision and said, you cannot hire this person because this person will be certain to push for the release of the JFK files. So this is a fact. So this is in 2025, less than 2 months ago, and you have a sitting member of the United States Senate whose main goal is to keep those files secret. And then
that's right, Bulldozer.
You have to ask yourself, what is that?
Yeah.
Exactly. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
And where's your boy Kash Patel? I mean, he went in there to supposedly bust all this up.
I can't answer that.
He put out this weird tweet, that was very general, like, things are going to change and we're going to do this and da, da. After we learned that someone under his control now, right, because he's the head of the FBI, in that office that's under him, why wasn't he there? Why didn't he go there and say, give me the files, give them to me?
Weren't you just saying the deep state's not real?
I don't know. I don't believe in the deep
Like,
state
what
as a
the hell is
boogeyman.
going on?
But look, they're his guys. I'm just saying, why didn't he go there and say, give me the files?
So let's just use logic. I can't answer that question. I think it's a great question. But let's just use logic for 1 second. Clearly, if you watch this, in my case, for the same as you, 35 years, watching this stuff carefully, and somebody, gets in office, I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing. And then like 5 days later, they're like, well, actually, someone has called that person to say, there's something you didn't know. Here are the consequences of doing that. Someone has applied very serious pressure on this person. Pressure so serious that person is willing to humiliate himself.
So wait a minute. Here's the part I don't
So who's
understand.
that person exerting the pressure?
But you are uniquely qualified to get this answer, because one of us can call the president of the United States right now and ask him. And the other one is me. So why don't you know?
That's a great question.
It's the only kind I
funny how
ask.
So what I brought to it was the knowledge that
That was pretty funny how he phrased that. One of us can call the president right now, and the other one is me.
a member of the Senate Intel Committee, I'm not guessing, called over and said, you cannot appoint this person.
So why?
Max Steele on YouTube. What's going on, Max? Thanks for joining us today. Boom! Welcome to Common Sense.
Why don't you expose that person, first of all, so we can start chasing
Tom
after
Cotton
him or
of
her?
Arkansas did that.
Tom Cotton?
Yes, correct.
And did you ask him?
I haven't. No, I haven't asked him.
What the hell's going on with you?
I'd like to. And
Kind of makes people suspicious of you, by the way.
go
Because
ahead,
if you
dude.
know
Go
that
ahead.
if you know that Tom Cotton said you can't pick this person
That is
because
correct.
and then you didn't go to him and find out why?
Well, I need to sit down with him. I'm not sure that he'll do an interview with me.
Interesting sabotage from all angles, potentially. Although we do have some potentially good news coming out regarding the Epstein situation and everything. At MAGA Voice posted this clip from Benny Johnson's show saying, holy shit, Alina Habba confirms that they are reviewing the Epstein docs and prosecutions are actually coming. This is a massive win for America. Release everything. I tend to agree with Alina Habba here. What she says makes a lot of sense. I've heard other people speculating about it too. But we will discuss.
Just asked about this and where it's at. And I just want to say, I understand and hear the American people's, ask. And sometimes they mistakenly put it on me, and that's fine. I'm part of the administration. But I will say that I personally have checked in. They are going through it. You have to be patient, because when you are wanting to prosecute and actually do something with the information that you have to make sure that you save the integrity of the investigation so that we can bring these people to justice, so that we can hold grand juries, so that we can do certain things. You have to be careful. The value for the American people to know immediately would undercut, we have to do it. We have to expose it. We're going to be transparent 100%. But we all
Gary09 agreed. Gary says, seems like everyone should want cash to cuff the upper FBI after they did to what they did to him and Nunez. Agreed. Arrest them all. Thanks for joining us, Gary.
also have to make sure we're not putting any children in danger, putting any minors that don't want and do not deserve to be publicly identified in danger, and making sure that we put forth the information that would still assist us in getting these individuals to justice. It's such a convoluted thing, but I will tell you, transparency is 100% coming. We did get a ton of documents. Pam's letter, I think, was directed towards the SDNY, that we now know the individual in charge there had directives to go in the FBI and said, be the resistance, do not turn over the documents. We have no tolerance for that. But I would just say to the American people, yes, they got documents. Cash instructed those individuals that you must cooperate. One resigned, who was leading the charge in not cooperating. And now we have them, and we have to go through them. There is a very large amount of documents, I've been told. They are going through them. And I also, frankly, believe in transparency. We have to give the American people transparency. And we have been, frankly. And unfortunately, sometimes we have to wait a little bit to go through the documents. We are not machines. But I know that they are actively working on it.
Boom. So this makes a lot of sense to me. It seems like Pam Bondi thought she had the info on her desk, jumped the gun, and then they found out that there were thousands and thousands, truckloads of documents. It's gonna take some time to go through that and to figure everything out. And like she said, when you're prosecuting and planning on to prosecute, if you just dump everything out there, It'll give these people a chance to organize against the prosecutions. So, it's 2025. We live in the internet age. It's completely understandable where since the 128 characters on Twitter came out in the late 2000s, that the human attention span has shrunk, and we are in an age of instant gratification, and we want things to happen fast. And when we have Doge going out and dissecting USAID and dissecting the Treasury and all this stuff at lightning speed with their AI and everything, it makes us want this stuff immediately. Immediately. That's right, Dirk. She had to have known, for sure. But now that they actually have gotten all the documents, I think it is just going to take a little bit of time. So unfortunately, we may just have to wait a little bit until they have their ducks in order. Wendy says, "I do like my instant gratification, though. Don't we all? Don't we all? I'm right there with everybody. I want this more than everything. I've been calling out Epstein forever, arguing with family members about it before he even got arrested. The second time at least, and proven right over and over. I predicted that he was going to die in jail. Said that he needed to be protected so that we could go forth with the prosecutions and everything. And so I'm with you. It just might take a little bit of time. Mama Mac says, I don't understand why they're flipping through papers when everything should be digitized and easily searchable. Maybe it was intentionally not digitized because they didn't want it to be easily searchable, and they were trying to keep it under lock and key. So maybe they're in the process of digitizing everything right now. Either way, this is exciting. Hopefully, we actually do get the full release of the Epstein list. As MAGA Voice says, we the people deserve to see it. We deserve it. So take heart, have a little bit of patience, and hopefully we will get stuff going sooner than later. Here's the trending topic over on X if you guys want to skim through everybody's opinions. Epstein files, transparency still awaiting. Here's all the people posting clips of everything. Yeah. So hopefully we still get all this stuff. It will take a little time to sort through everything that they got so recently. Thousands and thousands of documents, truckloads of stuff. Cass says, usually you'd think, yes, paper trail and also digital, but this is special information. This is highly incriminating stuff potentially. So my bet is that the FBI didn't want it digital at all, because then people from hackers and other people might be able to get in there and access it. So my bet it was never digitized at all. They kept it under lock and key, and there was probably just very little digitization. But the plot thickens further, guys. The plot thickens a whole lot further as we have a new report over here from the People's Voice, TPV Sean, the side talker. Get your task manager ready, Wiley, if you're watching. TPV Sean posting Israeli investigators released tape proving Jeffrey Epstein is alive and working for Mossad. That's interesting. He says, today, we've got the inside scoop that's about to blow the lid off of everything. Buckle up, because we're diving into an Israeli investigation to prove Jeffrey Epstein is still alive. That's right, alive. And we've got the drop on it before the gatekeepers, the spin doctors, and the cowards in the mainstream media twist the news to suit the globalist agenda. You're hearing it here first, raw and unfiltered, because that's what we do. Subscribe over to his X account, because they're exposing all the names, places, and proof. Information so explosive it could get TPV shut down. Let's check out some of this little clip here.
Today, we've got the inside scoop that's about to blow the lid off everything. Buckle up, because we're diving in to an Israeli investigation, rogue, relentless, and risking it all, to prove that Jeffrey Epstein is still alive. That's right, alive. And we've got the drop on it before the gatekeepers, the spin doctors, and the cowards in the mainstream twist the news to suit the globalist agenda. You're hearing it here first, raw and unfiltered, because that's what we do. Epstein's faked death. It's not just a conspiracy, it's the conspiracy. The one that will bring the elite's whole house of cards crashing down in flames. This isn't some tinfoil hat rant. It's the key to unraveling their whole game. The blackmail, the lies, the New World Order itself. And who's breaking it? Us. We're the ones who exposed Epstein's filth years before the mainstream media grew a spine. We dropped Pizzagate, exposing the paedophile code words in John Podesta's emails when everybody else laughed. We cracked the Diddy list, named names, while the rest of the world ran scared. And guess what? We've been proven right about every damn thing.
Ooh, that's a good point. Roxanne McGroin saying from what Elon has said, digitization/modernization is very behind in the federal government. Yeah, they still, talking about digitization. We learned that they were using an old mine to process retirement forms, none of which was digitized at all. So it wouldn't surprise me if none of the Epstein stuff was digitized.
Now, we're bringing you the raw, unfiltered truth about Epstein's survival. No filters, no fear. But here's the catch. This is sensitive, explosive. We've got details, names, places, proof that could get us shut down. Mossad shadows, elite puppet masters, compromised politicians. They don't want this out. So we're locking it down for subscribers only. Want the full story? The tapes, the trails, the twisted details behind Epstein's new face and new mission? Hit that subscribe button.
Damn.
Get in before the gatekeepers bury it. This is the people's voice, and we're tearing the veil off right now. To watch this video in full, please subscribe to me on X. Visit x.com/TPVSean and click on the subscribe button. For only $5 a month, you'll get to see exclusive videos only available to subscribers that deep dive into topics too controversial for the masses. I follow back all subscribers and regularly interact with all of you.
Let's see if anybody has subscribed and broadcasted the whole thing. Oh, man. TPV, Epstein. Let's see what we got. Because I don't want to subscribe and then play it for everybody and circumvent their subscription thing, violating their copyright and everything like that. But I want people to know this information. It kind of sucks that it's, hidden, not hidden, but restricted to subscribers. Let's see. I don't see anything in here yet. His post is still trending at the top there. Latest. Probably won't find anything in here. DTD. I don't know, guys. It's going to be interesting, though. I'm going to subscribe and take a watch, and we will talk about at least the information in the expose if we can't broadcast it. TPH14 with a good point, saying, good gosh, give them a little time. They got a whole truckload of stuff. Where's the comment over here? Good gosh. My government personnel records was like 10,000 pages, but obviously the contract had zero QA, QC. Every other page was blank. Insane. And he had another comment before that I saw. Where is it? Yeah, here it is. Give them time they need to get through a semi full of files, a semi truck, or to scan them in. Yep. Unfortunately, we all just want stuff now because it's the internet age, but I definitely agree. It's going to take some time, especially having just received all of that information. Gary09 saying Epstein definitely had the money and strings. Wouldn't be surprised about anything if Mossad is involved. Yeah, that's right. Mossad, we pretty much know for sure that Mossad is involved. Sinlu Wu says restricted makes it seem sketchy, but it also could be just strategic for their organization because if it's super bombshell information like that, then people are going to want it. And it's a good way to bring in revenue. Hopefully they, after a time period, they just release it for everybody. But I will go in and review that, and we could talk about it tomorrow after I get a chance to actually do that. But it wouldn't surprise me, man. Epstein is probably still alive. I don't know. I don't even know. We all know it's sketchy. It's sketchy as fuck. Let's move on to our next one. Just in, D.C. Circuit Court crushes Hampton Dellinger with the ultimate yuppie name with a decision, even though he fought to stop the court. This is good news over here. He was trying to prevent a precedent from being set that says that the executive can fire anybody in the executive branch, basically. D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals issued a decision in the Hampton Dellinger case, even though he did everything to stop the court. The D.C. court judges Henderson, a Bush appointee, Millett, an Obama appointee, and Walker, Trump appointee, ruled against Dellinger. The appeals court citing Saylor Law and Collins, claimed the government satisfied its burden and said it would likely succeed in arguing the U.S. president has the power to remove the head of an agency with a single top officer. That's right. That's right. Quote, on the first factor, the government has satisfied its burden, unquote. The Constitution prohibits even, quote, modest restrictions on the president's power to remove the head of an agency with a single top officer, the judges wrote. Yeah, because it's the fucking executive branch, and he's the executive. Like, this is not complicated at all. Quote, the president's power to remove executive officers of the United States whom he has appointed may not be regulated by Congress or reviewed by the courts, they said. Quote, accordingly, the government is likely to succeed in showing that arguments about the scope and functions of the special counsel as a sole agency head do not affect the president's removal power, the judges wrote. The judges also agreed with the DOJ judges and said the government sufficiently demonstrated that Hampton Dellinger exercised enough authority to contradict Trump's directives. The court cited Hampton Dellinger's decision to reinstate thousands of fired probationary employees fired by Trump. Quote, to be able to obtain the reinstatement of thousands of employees in a single agency, even if only temporarily, with such a vague standard of review, seems to suggest the special counsel's powers are not as limited as he claims, the judges said. Last month, of course, he fired Hampton Dellinger, and we're still going to have precedents set regarding congressional appointments to the executive branch, which is ridiculous because the executive branch is completely separate from Congress. If there's somebody working in the executive branch, the executive can fire them. You can't modify the separation of powers explicitly outlined in the U.S. Constitution with a simple act of Congress. It would have to be a constitutional amendment, in my opinion. Max made it over to Rumble. Fuck yeah, bro. T-folks, T. McGroin saying over the line, one toke over the line indeed. Hoot Hallow saying just legal talk for fuck 'em. Yep, sounds about right to me. For true. Last week, the appeals court granted a motion to stay Judge Amy Berman Jackson's order reinstating the Biden holdover. So now he's been ruled against by the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. This decision will likely impact similar cases involving Kathy Harris and Gwen Wilcox from the National Labor Relations Board. So we can look forward to them saying bye-bye for good. Let the door hit their ass on the way out for all I care. We also have massive news coming out about USAID in just like a bombshell revelation that they have been shredding documents. This is, as Mike Benz says over here, a 5-alarm fire. Right now, as we speak today, USAID is shredding and burning the contents of the agency's classified safes, the key information needed to reconstruct the history of USAID's weaponization both at home and abroad. This must be stopped. Classified safes. So that stuff's probably not digitized either. Oh, man. Politico, who's assho, but is apparently potentially speaking truth here. Then USAID official tells remaining staffers, shred and burn all your documents. A senior official at USAID instructed the agency's remaining staff to convene at the agency's now former headquarters in Washington on Tuesday for a quote, end quote, all-day group effort to destroy documents stored there, many of which contain sensitive information. The materials earmarked for destruction include contents of the agency's, quote, classified safes and personnel documents. At the Ronald Reagan building, said an email sent by USAID's acting executive director, Erica Carr, and obtained by Politico, fire this bitch! Shred as many documents first, quote unquote, and reserve the burn bags for when the shredder becomes unavailable or needs a break, the email said. Carr instructed staff to label the burn bags with the word, quote, secret, unquote, and, quote, USAID/B/IO, unquote, agency shorthand for bureau or independent office, in dark Sharpie. Let's check in with InfoWars as Alex Jones posts, massive USAID fraud cover-up exposed. USAID acting executive secretary has been caught red-handed instructing remaining officials within the agency to shred all vaulted classified documents. Then, when the shredder needs a break, use burn bags in an all-day, all-hands-on-deck evidence deleting extravaganza. Elon Musk, Doge, and President Trump must act now to preserve these documents. Owen Schroyer was covering it earlier. Here's a clip.
USAID officials tell remaining staffers, shred and burn all your documents. The materials
By the way, highly illegal. Highly illegal. You can't destroy government documents. Remember when Nancy Pelosi ripped up the State of the Union speech or whatever it was from behind Donald Trump? And people were giving her shit about that because it's illegal to destroy federal government documents. This has to be like illegal cubed. Massively illegal.
earmarked for destruction include contents of the agency's classified safes and personal documents at the Ronald Reagan Building, said in an email sent by USAID's executive director, Erica Carr. Now, they shared this, or somehow Politico obtained this.
Good
Let
call,
me read
Gary.
from you the exact email. They're having a meeting this morning, and then she says, shred as many documents first and reserve the burn bags for when the shredder becomes unavailable or needs a break. They're going to be shredding so many documents, the shredder's going to break down. If you need to use the burn bags, do not overfill and ensure
Right,
the
Cass.
burn bag can be closed with staples on top so nobody else can go in there and look at it. The only labeling required on the burn bags are the words secret.
Just so you guys know, this is the email he's reading from. I'm going to post the link to the original email in the chat right now so you guys can save it and review it if you want to spread it around and expose what's going on, etc.
And USAID in dark Sharpie if possible. If you need additional bags or Sharpie markers, please let me or the SEC info team know. Ladies and gentlemen,
Tacho in the house.
if you think this is the only agency that has sent out an email of this nature or some sort of a memo or a notice or activating people to shred and burn documents like this, well, I got news for you. You're wrong.
Real quick. Skunk saying, I remember, but nothing happened to Nancy. Yeah, that's right. The gloves were still on, so to speak, during the first Trump administration. Now the gloves are off, hopefully. So these people need to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
I guarantee you similar things have gone through the FBI and other agencies that Doge is looking at or that feel they could be targeted in other ways by the Trump administration. All right, breaking news has just come across my desk, and this is a lot bigger than just this story and this headline.
And since we're watching War Room with Owen Schroyer over at Infowars, band.video, we will have some updates about the horrendous, horrifying, tragic, terrible, brutal murder of Infowars reporter Jamie White coming up shortly. Turns out he was on a Ukrainian hit list, as well as other people like Elon Musk. So we'll get into that in a little
But
bit.
somebody made a big mistake, and this is actually going to out, I think, other bureaucracies that are engaging in the same thing. USAID officials tell remaining staffers, shred and burn all your documents. The materials earmarked for destruction include contents of the agency's classified safes and personal documents at the Ronald Reagan Building, said in an email sent by USAID's executive director, Erica Carr. Now, they shared.
Exactly, Mama Mac. Mama Mac says Ukrainian equals Western intelligence agencies. Yeah, that's right. With Victoria Nuland, the real president of Ukraine at Ketera.
This or somehow sent by USAID's executive director, Erica Carr. Now, they shared this, or somehow Politico obtained this. Let me read from you the exact email. They're having a meeting this morning, and then she says, shred as many documents first and reserve the burn bags for when the shredder becomes unavailable or needs a break. They're going to be shredding so many documents, the shredder's going to break down. If you need to use the burn bags, do not overfill and ensure the burn bag can be closed with staples on top so nobody else can go in there and look at it. The only labeling required on the burn bags are the words secret and USAID in dark Sharpie if possible. If you need additional bags or Sharpie markers, please let me or the SEC info team know. Ladies and gentlemen, if you think this is the only agency that has sent out an email of this nature or some sort of a memo or a notice or activating people to shred and burn documents like this,
Then I've got some mountaintop property at the bottom of the ocean to sell you.
well, I got news for you. You're wrong. I guarantee you similar things have gone through the FBI and other agencies that DOJ is looking at or that feel they could be targeted in other ways by the Trump administration.
Well, we know it was happening at the FBI because we had those whistleblower reports that they were destroying Epstein stuff. So this is definitely happening all over the place.
Now, there's no way they anticipated this email would get leaked, but here it is. So the questions are obvious. Why, as USAID is being investigated, as all the fraud, waste, and abuse at USAID, and then the kickbacks and everything else are about to be exposed, why are they burning and shredding documents? And is that even legal? Of course not. This is all illegal. But they're willing to commit this illegal act because it's going to cover up the even bigger crimes that they engaged in, which is going to be in these documents. Holy smokes. This needs to get to Elon Musk immediately. This needs to get to Donald Trump immediately. The DOJ team needs to look into this right now. Now, they apparently did this morning. The email says we're meeting and doing a burning and shredding party of all these secret documents to cover up our crimes this morning. So it might be too late. But
Bingo was his name-o, Cass.
folks, let's be perfectly clear. They've been doing this at the FBI. I guarantee you, holdovers from the Biden administration that are either still there or gone sent orders like this out, probably not dumb enough to do it on an email, but to burn and shred documents that will expose them for crimes they've committed. This must get to DOJ and Musk and Kash Patel. I mean, I'd say Pam Bondi, but, I don't know if that does us any good, but, give it to Pam Bondi too. Folks, this is huge. They are actively covering up their crimes right now, and they're doing it across all these agencies. I mean, this is it. They are caught red-handed. Isn't it obvious? Why are they so afraid of DOJ? Because DOJ is going to expose their crimes. The United States taxpayer, the U.S. Treasury, all these spending bills have been filled with so much waste, fraud, and abuse, it's criminal. And when the forensic auditors trace and track the money trail, they're going to find kickbacks to politicians and political groups. They are literally shredding and burning the evidence of a potential criminal operation right now in Washington, D.C. This is huge. They are caught red-handed. Owen Schroyer.
And imagine my shock. Why were they even allowed in the building? Wasn't everybody kicked out of that building? So that's what I want to know. If you guys haven't seen it, make sure to check out Crazy B's podcast, Questions That Need Answers. She dropped an episode 4 hours ago. Putin's Reasons for War, what Ukrainians think of America not helping anymore, and more. Make sure to check it out. I'm going to post a link in the chat right now for you guys. Throw some love over to our excellent mod, Crazy B, and give her some love by following and listening to her show, Questions That Need Answers. Thanks, B. We love you. So here's the email in question posted by Jamels9 over here. Yes, they are. Here is the email. People asking if this is real and if they're actually doing it. Yes, they are. Here's the full email if you guys want to check it out. I posted the link in the chat already for you guys to look at it. And here is the trending topic as well. Links to all this will be in the video description over on Rumble, so you guys can have access to all of the sources for the show, like putting them at your fingertips so you can help accelerate and exacerbate the Great Awakening to defeat the global communist takeover by helping to act as force multipliers with the show and share important information like this across the interwebs far and wide. USAID orders document destruction amid legal consigns. Here's everybody's takes on it. Make sure to share this because this needs to be exposed bigly. And it looks like it is being exposed bigly. All the big names talking about it. Catoid over here saying, arrest them all. That's right. Jesse Kelly talking about it. The time for AG Pam Bondi and her team to show up at USAID headquarters was 30 minutes ago. This must be stopped and stopped immediatamente. Not tomorrow, not after dinner, now. That's right. Right now, anything less is highly sus. Pam Bondi, we got our eyes on you. We're watching you because we don't trust you. Another positive news, we have breaking news that Ukraine has agreed to a 30-day ceasefire with Mother Russia after Trump strong arms Zelensky. This one's by Christina Layla. Got me on my knees over at Gateway Pundit. That was quick. Ukraine agreed to a 30-day ceasefire with Russia after negotiations with the United States. Late last month, Trump had ended his meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky, after a big blow-up in the Oval Office. Zelensky was told to leave hilariously. What an epic day that was. Following the Oval Office blow-up, President Trump paused all military aid to Ukraine, cut off efforts to restore their power grid, after Zelensky suggested the war would last a long time, and it also paused all aid that was currently in transit. So that was big, huge news. Now CBS is reporting that Ukraine said it would accept a 30-day ceasefire with Russia after talks with the U.S. and Saudi Arabia aimed at ending the fighting on Tuesday, according to a statement issued by the U.S. and Ukraine. The agreement came after. Why do we all of a sudden say Ukraine? Wasn't it the Ukraine? I was watching an episode of Dexter, and and somebody referred to it as the Ukraine. Season 8 or season 7 with the Ukrainian mafia involved for that season for some reason. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate you, brother. Oh, Whiskey Peddler in the chat too. But yeah, people, changing all the terminology. Instead of UFOs, now it's UAPs. They're trying to control words to control minds. And instead of the Ukraine, it's now just Ukraine. Instead of Kiev, it's Kiev or Kiev or whatever. I'm not playing these fucking bullshit games. I'm going to try to start saying the Ukraine again. Oh, it's going to be hard to do, though. So, this is pretty good. This was a meeting that came after, the agreement came after more than 8 hours of negotiations between Ukrainian officials and the U.S. delegation led by State Marco Rubio, Little Marco, in the Saudi city of Jeddah. Ukraine expressed readiness to accept the U.S. proposal to enact an immediate interim 30-day ceasefire, which can be extended by mutual agreements of the parties, and which is subject to acceptance and concurrent implementation by the Russian Federation. The U.S. and Ukraine said in a joint statement released by the State Department, quote, "The United States will communicate to Russia that Russian reciprocity is key to achieving peace." Awesome news. Great update. Love to see it. You just love to see it. Let's see what Whiskey Peddler posted in the chat before we continue with Ukraine-related stuff. Kaboom! Whiskey Peddler says, AP bites the big one. Let's see what's going on here, Whiskey. Thanks for sharing, brother.
I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have.
As I said at the beginning, revenues will stay here, wages will go up, our country will be made wealthy again, and I think it's insulting that you are trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press. Mary, go ahead.
I'm sorry, have you ever
Nice one. Thanks, Whiskey. Roxanne McGroin says it was the Ukraine while under the USSR. Ah, interesting. Very interesting. Thanks for the info, Roxanne. Appreciate you, brother. Let's jump into our next little one over here. Jones saying this is a big deal as Russia concedes that Trump is now in control of global policy after decapitating the globalist system. Very interesting. How are they going to spin this? Oh, Russia, Trump is Putin's cockholster. Well, now Russia is bowing to Trump. So are you still going to push that narrative that Trump is just a Putin puppet?
As you saw me say on the air today, before the broadcast ended at 3 p.m., I ran out of time to actually read the article that I think's the best, somewhat quick boil down of what's really going on.
Real quick before we continue, I just saw JJRSVL commenting in the chat. If you don't know JJR SVL is our Info Navy Combat Information Center Command Fleet Admiral. Appreciate you, JJR. He said, actually, little Marco has graduated to medium Marco. He's now medium Marco Rubio. Makes perfect sense to me. Hilarious.
A new American empire. Trump, Russia, and the end of globalism. The world is entering a period of profound transformation, and the old rules no longer apply. Trump's America is rewriting the playbook, and the rest of the world will have to adjust accordingly. America was out of the driver's seat. The globalist allied with China and the EU were selling us all out, the peoples of the world. The screw job got so bad that even a lot of globalists broke with China, but they went to the new enemy of Russia to prop themselves up.
Oh, sorry to interrupt again. The chat is just too funny right now. So I can't believe that JJR where's this comment inspired by Wiley over here? Hilarious. Wiley says, Lord Sterling, I read that Russia requested a supply of condoms during the World War II Lend-Lease, 18 inches length to impress/intimidate Americans. Americans complied, shipped them in boxes labeled size medium. So fucking funny, Wiley. That's hilarious. Thanks for sharing that.
And Trump's like, this makes no sense. We're not doing it.
While other networks lie to you about what's happening now, InfoWars tells you the truth about what's happening next. Infowars.com/show.
I remember reading Carnegie documents from the early 50s, and we have copies of them and showing them all to you. And Bernadine Smith was great at getting all these old news articles from the Washington Post, New York Times, going back even to the 30s. But the big stuff was in the early 50s.
Major
and
improvement.
60s, and they were in the front page of the New York Times. We're going to have 10 FEMA regions, decades before they got it. And they said, well, the Carnegie, because back then they were very honest about global government, like they were going to sell it as a good thing. And people didn't like it, so they went, oh, that doesn't exist. You're crazy if you talk about it. Because the John Birch Society by the mid-60s got people listening and said, this is terrible, totalitarian. And they went, oh, that actually doesn't exist. You're crazy.
John Birch Society was way ahead of their time, and that's why they denied the existence completely of organizations like the Bilderberg Group, saying that it doesn't even exist. It's a figment of your imagination, until they said, yeah, they exist, and they meet every year, and it's been going on since the 50s or whatever. I actually met Jones one time in 2012, protesting outside the Bilderberg convention or group meeting, whatever they want to call it, in Chantilly, Virginia, which is where I got this bullhorn signed by Info General Jones himself. There you go. Look at that. Alex Jones, 2012, from the Bilderberg meeting in Chantilly, Virginia. And they used to claim Bilderberg didn't even exist until they were like, yeah, it does.
And sick the IRS on them and, the FBI and the rest of it. There was a whole bunch of persecution to the proto-patriots before us that we stand on their shoulders. And because they were getting Republicans elected, Ronald Reagan in California, all this stuff. So the globalists then said, okay, actually, there's no global government plan. They called themselves globalists then, not internationalists, not international man, meaning the world, everybody's moves around and, free societies. No, that's how they sold it.
Right. We want trade and travel and friendship with people all around the world, but globally, we want people to be able to globally move around and to have a global society. Globalism, like they're talking about, is centralized global government, centralized controlled distribution of economic systems around the world. They want global government. We just want a global society. Two totally different things.
In the Carnegie documents, they're public, that they're like, the real plan for global peace, because of the geography of Russia and all its resources, would be to have America turn quasi-communist and then merge the Soviet Union with the United States of America. And that's because of the geopolitical control America would have over this hemisphere, and then Russia, because of its resources and its geography, that's control. Those two in a combination, they said, was the only group that could bring in world peace. And the decision was made to not do that. Plus, Americans wouldn't merge with the communist system, which we shouldn't have.
That's right, Phil.
And so that project fell apart. But the globalists then realized that was the real power combo, just because of geography, but also population and technological prowess, would be the Soviet Union and the United States. And Nixon was always splitting China off from Russia, and there was people, oh, it's a fake China-Soviet split, and, big debates. But that was the mainline geopolitical discussion. I'm not telling you something that's even my opinion, okay? But nobody really knows this stuff nowadays. And then the left and the modern BlackRock globalists kind of forgot about that, and also didn't think, well, China will double-cross us at some point if we give them all the rarest minerals and all the industry. They'll go ahead and just build their military, though they'd promised to never have a expansionist military, and they would not expand even to the South China Sea. Now they've expanded all over the world, including the Caribbean. And that was going on really hot and heavy even 30 years ago, but it accelerated in the last 15. And so if Europe's falling apart, too much spending, socialism, bad demographics, and you can't just replace that with, Stone Age people from the Middle East. And then you've got the United States with all its issues and socialism and overspending and crony capitalist garbage. And then you've got China that had all the pieces, it would be able to take over. And so the only logical move, and this is what, when he was the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, General Flynn just did his job on U.S. strategy and intelligence. He went to Obama. This is on record. He was the first guy to say years before, even before he was head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, and got promoted to that, because he came to him and said over and over again, China's going to double cross you. Here's all the evidence. They're openly saying it. The real deal would be to go in and make an economic deal with China, cut NATO funding, pivot all the funding over to China, make a deal with Russia. They just want economic deals. They'll cut their spending, which Putin, by the way, did, and then he cut it again by half 8 years ago, defense spending. They want to come in and work with us. We should do that. We should stabilize the Middle East. We should do a deal with Gaddafi, which he did, and then they double-crossed Gaddafi. Obama did. Put in all the Western people, gave them all the West all the investment money, and then they just went ahead and used Al-Qaeda, ISIS to kill him. And, of course, Flynn had a different plan. And, of course, then Flynn got skyrocketed up when, just as a top general briefing him, he got proven right. So they went, oh, God, put him in as the main advisor, kind of unofficial national security advisor to Obama, and put him in the head of DNI because he was right. But, and I'm not saying Flynn is a super smart. I knew this and was saying it on air because I understand geopolitics. I read Brzezinski's books. I mean, I know what they're, Kissinger. I mean, this is just mainline basic crap. Like if you know football, there's 11 players on each side. And there's 4
Cannabis.
And you know what a field goal is, and you know what So you're sitting there watching the globalists just run America to the ground, and you have to sit back and say, China didn't just double-cross the globalists 15 years ago. They had enough globalist operatives in the West to know that actually they were taking us over. It was worse than that. And most of the Democrats, are double agents, and that's all come out, and they get Chinese money. They've got to have their chief of staff be a known Chi-Com intelligence agent, the Hunter Biden laptop about, the head of Chinese intelligence, my boss. We haven't talked to him in 2 months, and he owes us $1 billion, and I'm scared. All that incredible audio, which they said wasn't real, but now they admit is. So the only move Trump had economically and all this stuff is what we're doing. And so there's a lot of smart people in the intelligentsia who aren't even, angels, but they understood that we were at the end of the line. Europe's done. If the United States ties ourselves to the lunatics with 2 World War IIs, 2 world wars we already had. That was Putin just talked about that today. I mean,
Sounds good, Wiley.
Real stuff here. That's why I listen to Putin. I already knew all this stuff. It's not like I sit here and I parrot what Putin says. No, I don't. This is what I do. I know when somebody's telling the truth. I know the West started the Ukraine war. They bragged about it. I played clips last week of Soros and all them talking about it. I'll be the czar soon. And deputy head of the unelected EU 3 weeks ago. Oh, we're going to win in Ukraine and break up Russia in 5 parts. I mean, they're just trying to antagonize. They're not poking the bear. They're slapping it upside the face and pissing in its face.
So the globalists want a unipolar world order. What we need is a multipolar world order, because unipolar would eliminate competition. You always need competition to make the cream of the crop rise to the top. So we need a multipolar system, in my opinion.
And endangering its cubs. We're going to get our face torn off. They're like, well, we'll nuke them back. Great, we're all dead. This is insane. Every angle of it's been thought out. It is the worst policy for the United States and the world. It is the worst policies. Then you look at Trump. He's doing the very best policies on every issue because it's the only issues, the only policies that will still even work. I've had economists, military experts, former heads of U.S. intelligence agencies on, the NSA head, everybody telling you the same stuff. This is big boy show. This isn't, again, in entertainment or football or Netflix or a ghost movie or a vampire movie or some alien movie. This is the real world, my friends.
The real world, real quick. We are now at 1,705 followers over on Rumble. Quick shout out to our most recent followers: Max Steele, 1972, Gary 09, TPH14, Renee Harrington Painter, A.E. Vanson, Triggly, Dabby J, Tiger 184, and Cywar Mule 917, Micah Wood, Frosty Pimp Anon, Lex Rex 1964, Dockster 375, Sen Mike 23, Why Kick a Moo Cow, M Reardon 7, R Shih Tzu 2, Lizzie Longtoes, and Manish 145, Manish 1145. Austin, that's my mother. Well, she is rather mannish.
And so you've got all these idiots cheerleading all of this crap, and they have no idea what they're bringing us into. You go down the globalist road of controlled collapse to control people. In every research study and actuary, you do that. Crime explodes, robbery explodes, society collapses, wars start, regional wars.
Bigs.
Nuclear war. Not just between Russia and the West, India, Pakistan. It's a damn Mexican standoff with China there. It goes on and just gets worse. You got to have cheap energy. You got to have production. You got to have optimism, as Trump said. He doesn't want to just cut our energy costs in half for us. He wants to export it, cut it for everybody, to make everybody happier and peacefuler. Because the numbers are 50% anywhere in the world of the paycheck goes to energy and food. You get collapse. You go up to 60%, you get road warrior. Most of the world's already at 60%. It is a miracle things aren't worse than they are, okay? It's like high winds and dry weather, and you go light a match and throw it in a brush pile. You're going to get a big-ass fire. And the globalists are running around with flamethrowers in 100-mile-an-hour winds with dry brush. And they've set a bunch of fires, and they're lunatics.
And somehow it's all still standing.
China and Russia, Trump's told them, you better stop and make fair deals to stabilize us all. The economic stuff's got to stop. The war's got to stop. They're not retaliating to Trump tariffs. We're retaliating to them raping us. And if we collapse, they go down. If they collapse, we'll be okay. But he still wants them not to. That's why he wants fair deals. He's a damn godsend. And you bet I'm energetically behind Trump. You bet I'm behind Musk. Their energy, their focus, what they're doing is an answer to prayer.
Threeper, what's up, Threeper? General of the Info Air Force, at ease, Info Airman.
Please don't prove me right again by this failing, because I want you to remember later if this fails when we are in hell on earth. And I'm a little bit better positioned than most people, and I'm still really concerned for my family. Most of us won't survive this, depending on any horrible scenario there is, and they go from bad to worse. if you've got any self-preservation energy in you, you better get on your knees and you better pray and you better get involved and try to stabilize the world right now. Trump said, I'm not aligned with Ukraine, I'm aligned with America. And for America to do good, the world's got to do good. I'm aligned with the world and world peace, and he means it.
Boom. That's right. Let's see real quick. 3%. What's up? Let's see if I can show you. What's up real quick. Gotta tip the camera. Oh no, I can only get it so far. But it's Michael Jordan flying through the sky, slam dunking on the ceiling.
And they are under total attack, and we are under total attack. What do I got to do to get you people's attention? You dumbass, fake, populist right-wingers that want to say you're holier than thou and say Trump's not real, and you stupid-ass communists and pedophiles. You got the same demonic spirit in you that wants to ruin society and collapse it. You're a damn shame. Oh, God. I cannot believe people don't just wake up and look at the facts. All right, this is a long article. I'm not going to have time to read it. I'll try, because I want to start and stop through all this. You know what? I'll take a thing today with this, and then we'll tag this whole rant onto the end of it. But I'm just sick of people that don't study. I'm sick of people that aren't informed, telling people that aren't, have a history of it, and looking at Trump and Musk, who are two frickin' titans of hard work. And Musk says, none of our money's worth anything if America collapses. Of course he's doing it for money. Self-preservation is one of the purest things there is, and he's smart. He's not running in some private island to wait out a nuclear war. He's trying to fix it all for his 15 kids and his space mission. He wants to explore stuff instead of blow shit up. Look at the motives, not just his actions, the tree of the fruit. It's a damn godsend. Your electricity's off a few months from now and you're sitting there starving to death. Just remember, God gave you a chance to make it through this and bypass this, but you didn't want to look at the facts. You didn't want to believe that people were actually trying to save themselves. That's what Trump and Musk are doing, and they like people. They care about people, but they're doing this out of selfishness, and so am I. How many times have I told you in the last 20 years since I figured that out? That please stop telling me I'm a great person. Please stop telling me I'm so wonderful. Please quit telling me I'm a hero. I've looked at every possible calculation of this New World Order hellscape, and it's satanic. And I mean, the globalists want to build this dystopia, and they think they're going to have a good time in that. See, but I don't want power over people. That's why it doesn't make sense to me. But it does make sense to oppose them with everything I've got, because it's hellish. I'm doing this out of self-preservation. Elon Musk is doing this out of self-preservation. He keeps telling you that there's no option here. We've got to increase productivity and innovate and cut all the scams out, or we are already collapsed. We can grow our way out of this. Trump told the Republicans, please, just pass my spending bills. We've made major cuts. I need to stabilize this thing. Okay, we got a lot on our plate. Please, this is really hard what I've been handed. He said that Friday. Completely honest. He said, we got a problem.
Nudes? Someone sending nudes? Full frontal nudes? What? Cannabis? What?
So knock it off. Or all that stolen money they've got is not going to be worth anything, you dumbasses.
Hopefully, immediatamente, Trapper.
There's an RT article that goes through all this and basically says, all right, Trump just blew up the globalists, the liberal order's dead, and the United States is in control of the planet right now, if Trump can survive. And it's America's planet now. We all just live in it. Because the globalists had the biggest corporate empire and had almost complete control other than China and Russia holding out. So Trump's got control of the control arms, and what's he doing? He's exposing them. He's saying, hey, I don't want a war. I don't want a trade war. Do a fair deal. And their answer is, plunge the stock market, attack Tesla, blow up, burn down, and shoot up Tesla dealerships. Democrats are calling for violence everywhere, running around, cyber attacking everything, blaming it on the Muslims. And this is exactly what they'll do before they really start doing false flags. And they're going to attack Social Security, computer systems, and blame it on Musk. I told you before they started preparing they would, and now they're saying it. So just think about the most horrible thing they could do. They want things crashing. They want to blame America. They want to blame Trump. They want to, so they, and then sure enough, they do it. So I'll end the show. I want to be loaded for bear coming in. And then I'm going to go read this article. Hell, I'll do it in the studio when the show ends. That way it's congruent. And we'll
skip ahead a little bit.
It's a very simple article. It's not that long. And every freaking line in it is so truthful. And you're going to hear a lot of me in there. All right? Because I know Trump's for real. I know Musk is real. Because I know they adopt a large portion of my ideas and what I say and do, not just in words, in policy. So we all have a major responsibility here, people. As you saw me say on the air today, before the broadcast ended at 3 p.m., I ran out of time to actually read the article. I think it's the best, somewhat quick boil down of what's really going on. I was a little distracted because one of my good friends, one of our best reporters, Jamie White, was murdered last night, brutally here in Austin, Texas. And that just illustrates how serious the Soros crime wave is at every level, whether they be illegal aliens they brought in that are above the law or your garden variety American criminal. They know it is open season on everybody. But let me now get into the geopolitical issue. So we
or
don't all
it might have been a hit.
Nuclear war. Here is the excellent breakdown from RT. It's up on Infowars.com as well. A new American empire, Trump, Russia, and the end of globalism. Donald Trump's return to the White House is shaping up to be nothing short of a political revolution. The new administration is rapidly dismantling the old order, purging the ruling elite, reshaping both domestic and foreign policy, and cementing changes that will be difficult to reverse even if his opponents regain power in the elections. For Trump, as for all revolutionaries, the priority is to break the existing system and consolidate radical transformations. Many of the principles that guided U.S. policy for decades, sometimes over a century, are being deliberately discarded. Washington's global strategy, long built on expensive military, domestic, and financial influence, is being rewritten to serve Trump's domestic political needs. The end of the American liberal empire, the one that wants to chop your son's penis off. For the last 100 years, the U.S. has functioned as a global empire. Unlike traditional empires built on territorial expansion, the American empire extended its reach through financial dominance, military alliances, and ideological influence. This model, however, has become increasingly unstable. Since the late 1990s, the costs of maintaining global hegemony have exceeded the benefits, fueling discontent both at home and abroad. Trump and his allies seek to end this liberal empire, that's a quote, and return America to a more self-reliant, mercantilist model, one reminiscent of the 19th, 20th centuries under President William McKinley. Trump has openly praised this era, viewing it as the golden age of U.S. prosperity before the country took on the burdens of global leadership. Everyone wanted to be here. We were growing by 10% a year on average. It was amazing. Under this vision, America will reduce unproductive foreign expenditures and refocus on its natural advantages, vast resources, an advanced industrial base, and the world's most valuable consumer market. Rather than policing the world, Washington will wield its economic power more aggressively to secure trade advantages. However, the transition to this model carries significant risk, particularly in a highly globalized economy. A shift in global strategy. Trump's policies are driven by domestic concerns, but will have major implications abroad. His administration is systematically dismantling key institutions of the old order, including those that irritated Moscow, for instance, U.S. aid, a major vehicle of American influence in the post-Soviet space.
What's up, Free Castle? Good to see you, bro. If you guys aren't already subscribed to Free Castle over on Rumble, make sure to hit up Free Castle, rumble.com/user/Free Castle. Daily broadcasts, take up your cross. All kinds of good stuff. Let's hop into a random section here for a second and see what Free Castle's up to. The Daily Bonus.
To a little bit more Daily Bonus.
Even more.
In a bit of a fun win here.
723 followers, but 70 likes. That's a really good ratio right there, Free Castle. Make sure to go follow Free Castle.
RFK Jr. enjoyed a burger, fries, and a steak and shake over at a Steak and Shake. And it has been considered a significant cultural moment. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. could well be the first Secretary of Health and Human Services since the department was rebranded in 1981, and maybe even since the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare was established back in 1953, to be
Purple
determined to take a positive
haze.
and concrete step to improve the health of Americans, rather than just line the pockets of Big Pharma and the corrupt FDA and all these other organizations. RFK Jr. traveled to Florida over the weekend, and he stopped by a popular burger joint Steak and Shake after he heard that they are going to be using beef tallow for all of their iconic shoestring fries. RFK was referring to a March 2nd post on X in which Steak and Shake declared, with Trumpian exuberance, RFK'd fries. Too much flavor, too much winning. So now, as RFK joked, he's been turned into a verb. They RFK'd their food by cooking it in beef tallow. And hey, you know what? I think that's a pretty cool thing. If you're gonna be turned into a verb, at least it's for something good, I suppose.
Boom! Make tallow great again. Thanks, Free Castle, for joining us. Don't forget to head over to Free Castle and give them a follow.
Has been gutted. Ironically, Trump has more motivation to destroy USA than even Russian President Vladimir Putin, given that its resources have been repurposed for domestic political use by Trump's rivals. Yeah, all the evil, globalist, satanic crap, that's them. If the U.S. abandons its liberal empire model, many sources of tension with Russia will disappear. Historically, Moscow and Washington had relatively stable relations throughout the 19th century. If Trump's America reverts to a more isolationist approach, Russia will no longer be a primary target of U.S. interference. The main friction point will likely be the Arctic, where both nations have strategic interest. China, however, remains Trump's top adversary, and boy, they're in our business. Beijing's state-led economic expansion is fundamentally at odds with Trump's mercantilist vision. Unlike Biden, who sought to counter China through alliances, Trump is willing to go it alone, potentially weakening Western unity in the process. His administration is expected to escalate economic technological warfare against Beijing, even if it means alienating European allies who are allied with the Chicoms, I should add. One of Trump's most disruptive moves has been his openly hostility towards the EU. His vice president, J.D. Vance, recently delivered a speech in Munich that amounted to direct interference in European politics, signaling support for right-wing nationalist movements that challenge the EU's authority. That's because they're interfering in our politics. The shift is focusing Europe into an uncomfortable position. For years, China has viewed Western Europe as an alternative West, which it could engage economically without the same level of confrontation it faces with the U.S. Trump's approach could accelerate EU-Chinese ties, especially if Western European leaders feel abandoned by Washington. There are already signs that European policymakers may loosen restrictions on Chinese investment, particularly in critical industries such as semiconductors. At the same time, the ambitions of some Europeans in NATO expansion to the Indo-Pacific may falter as the bloc struggles to define its new role in the post-globalist strategy. Well, yeah, but see, the globalists moved all the jobs to China, and then China double-crossed the globalists. So that's why it doesn't matter. Their system they built fell apart. Now they want to suck us to a black hole. Russia and China, a changing relationship. You already see Russia being driven towards the U.S. For years, Washington fantasized about splitting Russia and China apart. But Trump's new approach is unlikely to achieve this goal. The Russia-China partnership is built on strong fundamentals, a massive shared border, complementary economies, and a shared interest in countering Western dominance. If anything, the shifting geopolitical landscape could push Russia to a position similar to that of China in the early 2000s, focusing on economic development while maintaining strategic flexibility. Moscow will reduce its efforts to actively undermine the U.S. and instead concentrate on strengthening its economic and security ties with Beijing. China, meanwhile, will bear the brunt of Trump's new American empire. The U.S. will no longer rely on alliances to contain Beijing, but will use direct economic military pressure. While this may make life more difficult for China, it doesn't necessarily mean the U.S. will succeed. China has been preparing for economic decoupling for years, and Beijing may find opportunities in a more divided Western world. The globalists already sold us out to China, folks. This is Trump saying no to that. The road ahead. Trump's return marks a fundamental shift in global power dynamics. The U.S. is moving away from being a liberal empire and towards a more traditional power. Again, anti-Satanism. Based on foreign policy for Russia, this means fewer ideological conflicts with Washington, but continued competition in key areas like the Arctic. For China, Trump's policies present a direct challenge. The question is whether Beijing can adapt to the world where the U.S. is no longer just containing it, but actively trying to roll back its economic influence. For Western Europe, the picture is bleak. The EU is losing its privileged status as America's primary partner, is being forced to fend for itself. Whether it can navigate this new reality remains to be seen. And they cancel elections. They're totally pedophilic, anti-family, anti-American, huge screw jobs, one-side tariffs. Other than China, the EU is the most tyrannical thing in the world right now, okay? So they're the bad guys. They're the evil empire. One thing is certain, that's why they're all about China. One thing's certain, the world is entering a period of profound transformation, and the old rules no longer apply. Trump's America is rewriting the playbook, and the rest of the world will have to adjust accordingly. America was out of the driver's seat. The globalist allied with China and the EU were selling us all out, the peoples of the world. The screw job got so bad that even a lot of globalists broke with China, but they went to the new enemy of Russia to prop themselves up. And Trump's like, this makes no sense. We're not doing it. So that's, you know, a basic boil down of what I was talking about earlier. But we don't have any other moves other than the right moves. Funny how when the chips are down, it's getting back to being what America was all about, the fundamentals that absolutely will work. But they're trying to crash the economy to head this off, as you've just seen with the stock market and the shorting of going after Tesla and all the cyber attacks. This is serious stuff. But the real...
It's like when you approach the end of a chess game. You don't have any a good chess game. You don't have any moves other than the right moves. We got to make the right move.
Sanctions of globalism aren't even the economics. It's the crime and the defunding the police and letting violent offenders out. And sure, the police state was out of control. I was an expert on that. Going after kids that were late to school or arresting their parents like the Democrats would do out in California famously with Kamala Harris. They wrote the book on all those laws. Republicans went along with it. So I say nonviolent people, let them out. But hardcore violent people, muggers, rapists, armed robbers, these people, throw them under the damn prison. If they're an illegal alien, deport their ass. All right, that's it for this special transmission. We're up here working late at night because every piece of information we can get out is key. The fight with the globalists is so close. We're a little bit ahead of them. But for people that think we've won the war, we haven't. And if we have that attitude, we can lose it all. Now, you saw X went down today for about 7-8 hours off and on. And they're attacking it ruthlessly. And it's the NATO globalists through Ukraine that's now come out. I love X. Boost us there. Share the live feed. That's how we get out to new people. But you can always share, as long as we're here, our backup, band.video, infowars.com/show, with the live feeds, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then all the special shows we do. You'll find it all at band.video. You can get it. You can re-upload it. Get it out everywhere. We're seeing a little less censorship.
Get it out everywhere, guys. We also have some behind-the-scenes deleted footage from when Zelensky came to the Oval Office and was begging for money. Let's check it out.
No. No. No.
Oh my God, it's so cute. So cute. Oh man, you hate seeing little babies not happy, but that is too cute, too funny, too cute. I just want to pinch his little cheeks. Oh man. So let's jump into some Jamie White stuff. This whole segment of this show is going to be heavily InfoWars related over here. Jones saying, as we learn more about Jamie's brutal murder, we will let everyone know, reposting a post that Jamie at White is the Fury had made back on June 12th, 2024, saying, I'm on the Ukrainian enemies list due to my work at InfoWars and with Real Alex Jones on the Ukraine proxy war. The group who compiled this list is tied to the U.S. State Department, USAID, CIA, and George Soros. Remember all this stuff about the enemies list that was breaking at the time, and now he's been killed, tragically. Insane. Here's Jones talking about it. Flashback, murdered InfoWars reporter Jamie White was put on a Ukrainian enemies list because of his groundbreaking reporting on the proxy war.
Then everybody started pointing out to me that Jamie got put on the Ukrainian enemies hit list. And you remember the Ukrainians were openly listing a U.S. senator that they were going that better watch out, and Jack Posobiec better watch out, and Jamie White better watch out. I remember when this first happened a year and a half ago, I remember saying to Jamie, wow, I'm jealous that I'm not on the list. What is this? It's not funny now, obviously. I'm on the Ukrainian enemies list due to my work at InfoWars and Real Alex Jones on the Ukraine proxy war, the group who Part of this list is tied to the U.S. State Department, USAID, CIA, and George Soros. All right, it is Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. I am your host, Alex Jones, and
Loki is so insane. I keep sending her over to the jungle gym. She keeps flying down immediately and going under my desk. I'm sitting there scratching her head with my big toe right now. That's the weirdest thing. Look, Ma, no hands.
while I was on with
So if I jump, she bit me, just for the record.
Eric Bowling and
Getting censored, girl. What's
Benny
up?
Johnson and others, right before I went on air, the crew talking to the family and the police got a lot more information on our great reporter, Jamie White, that was brutally murdered Sunday night, right before midnight, died a few minutes into Monday morning. Right when he got to the hospital, the police got there really quick. My initial instinct was that it would be Jose Garza, probably the worst Soros DA in the country, who has just opened this place up to just mass murder and crime, that it would be gangbangers, that killed him because there's a lot of them and it's really bad. But then everybody started pointing out to me that Jamie got put on the Ukrainian enemies hit list. And you remember the Ukrainians were openly listing a U.S. senator that better watch out, and Jack Posobiec better watch out, and Jamie White better watch out. I remember when this first happened a year and a half ago, I remember saying to Jamie, wow, I'm jealous that I'm not on the list. What is this?
Fuck, man. So fucked up. Wiley shared this in chat. Foreign propagandists of the Russian Federation regime. There's the list of people on the Ukrainian hit list. Thomas Massey, Fujita Takanori, Eric C., Ben Norton, Kazuhiro Haraguchi, Tara Bull, DC Drano, Rogan O'Handley, Patrick Henningsen, Alexander Markovitz, Filippo Maria Olivi de Briana, Harold Wilimski, Herbert Kickel, and let's see. Jamie, it's not coming up in the search. Maybe there's just a whole nother segment to click. Show more. Again, maybe it's only an incomplete list over here. I'm not finding Jamie White on this particular list. Let's go back to Jones.
It's not funny now, obviously. You've got Gonzalo Lira that they tortured to death and killed, a U.S. citizen and journalist, for exposing it. We can put the tweet up, the X post of Jamie. We can't put the HD version of that up, where he pointed out, I'm on the Ukrainian enemies list due to my work at InfoWars and Real Alex Jones on the Ukraine proxy war. The group who compiled this list is tied to the U.S. State Department, USAID, CIA, and George Soros. And I know everybody thinks that news was broken by Doge. I mean, but I'm not in competition with Doge. Doge is actually getting in there and stopping it. But we've been reporting on USAID since I got on the air 30 years ago, and George Soros. And notice whether it was that was involved or criminals running wild that just get released. The police told us a lot. I mean, they said, listen, they cut 1/3 of the cops. They ran off a bunch of the police. Then they took half of what was left of the 2/3, the other third, and put them into social work, community outreach, brainwashing, PR. And they said, we can barely even respond to all these crime scenes, much less investigate them. So, and you know the story all over the country. You've seen it. It's just terrible. Jose Garza is a communist. Admittedly, he says he is. In fact, try to find the Zoom meetings. I mean, you just type in Austin DA Jose Garza calls members of his staff comrade, and there's video of him at meetings calling them comrades. And he will not prosecute a Hispanic or a black person if they're killing a white person. He's literally a racist. And he barely been prosecuted if they kill another Hispanic or black person. He says this publicly. So it is open season on white people. Luckily, most folks that are brown don't hate us and don't want to kill us, but there are some that do. And it just happens all the time.
Yeah, remember those charts that I'm always referencing? It's been a while since we brought up the charts. But racism, racist, and racists. Yearly mentions of prejudice in popular U.S. news media outlets over the past 15 years. just like the first phase of the KGP cultural subversion program described by Yuri Bezmenov, the demoralization phase. Look at this, 15 years of calling us racists and etc., sexists. So this was weaponized to turn people against white people, unfortunately, in my opinion, and it's had a really effective effect.
So we do have new details. I love doing interviews and I love getting information out, but I hate doing them an hour before the show because so much is happening. And I was sitting here and in the interview live with Benny Johnson 5 minutes before the show started, and then I went in and got the information. So this information is not out yet, the specifics, and I am mulling it in my mind, not of what I'm going to say, but how I'm going to say it, and what's most important about it. But he was shot.
Twice at least.
Through the neck. Hit him in the carotid artery. Surprised he lived that long. Went all the way through his neck, hit him here, went through the carotid artery, and then blew out the back of his neck, side of his neck. So, one gunshot.
Thanks, JJR.
That's what happened.
We got more information about that as well. Here's a post. Breaking executive. Austin police say InfoWars journalist Jamie White was killed by car burglars. Could it be a setup like Seth Rich, where they tried to frame it as a robbery, but they didn't even take his watch and everything? Is his murder Travis County DA Jose Garza's fault? Is his murder Travis County DA Jose Garza's fault for allowing crime to flourish in Austin? Or was it a Ukrainian hit team made to look like car burglars? Either way, George Soros and the deep state are to blame, indeed.
Now it's breaking. Just broke 10 minutes ago, like I told you. Austin police say InfoWars writer Jamie White possibly killed by car burglars. So, Jose Garza. Or was it Ukrainian hit team meant to look like car burglars? Either way, it's Soros. Either way, it's the deep state. Whether it's Ukrainians or whether it's just criminals that know it's a happy hunting ground because of Jose Garza. When I say he's the worst DA of all the Soros people, I mean, he literally, he is spectacularly bad. Throwing the book at cops that defend themselves. Charging police that all the witnesses, you can pull a gun on a cop and the cop shoots the person and they arrest the cop. And then they wonder why they can't recruit police. No. They want to run the good cops out and say, if you're a communist cop, well, come on in. That's what these purges of the police and the military are all about. So I don't know what happened completely to Jamie, but we know he got shot through the arm, lower arm, up at an angle, same bullet, into the carotid artery, and out the side back. So, like this, up through here, right through, then out the back. We love you, Jamie, and we're really sorry this happened. I was waiting to see if the family did a give, send, go. Assisting Jamie White's family in deep loss. Go to givesendgo.com, Justice for Jamie White.
I'm going to take this link and post it in the chat right now for you guys.
All right.
The give, send, go. We got to support Jamie's family here. Jamie was a true patriot, somebody that I looked up to for like 15 years, man. It's super sad.
Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. I am your host, Alex Jones. And while I was on with Eric Bowling and Benny Johnson and others, right before I went on air, the crew talking to the family and the police got a lot more information on our great reporter, Jamie White, that was brutally murdered Sunday night, right before midnight, and died a few minutes into Monday morning. Right when he got to the hospital, the police got there really quick. My initial instinct was that it would be Jose Garza, probably the worst Soros DA in the country, who has just opened this place up to just mass murder and crime, that it would be gangbangers, that killed him because there's a lot of them and it's really bad. But then everybody started pointing out to me that Jamie got put on the Ukrainian enemies hit list, and you remember the Ukrainians were openly listing a U.S. senator that better watch out, and Jack Posobiec better watch out, and Jamie White better watch out. I remember.
Yep, so we watched that part already. Let's see if there's any new information further up.
Jose Garza, seriously, will not even prosecute people that kill white people. I mean, he's super racist. He says whites are inherently bad, all the rest of it, Soros stuff. You already heard it all. Calls his, in public meetings, calls members of his staff comrades. And so it's leaning towards that. Now it's breaking. Just broke 10 minutes ago, like I told you. Austin police say InfoWars writer Jamie White possibly killed by car burglars.
Already heard that.
Wealth to influence the election.
You guys can watch the full links to decipher what we've watched already, what we're repeating. Links will all be in the video description on Rumble. So here is more information. Elon Musk was on the same Ukrainian enemies target list as murdered InfoWars journalist Jamie White. Ukrainian officer administering the list openly called for direct action against U.S. citizens, including Senator Josh Hawley. I think this is the Transformer weirdo you guys may remember. Alex Jones calls for the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, to launch an immediate investigation into the Ukrainian-sponsored terror on U.S. soil.
InfoWars is on the list, and Alex Jones. These are the people targeted. And right here, Jamie White. And the statements he made exposing Soros, the CIA, USAID, and all of them. Who else is on the list? Elon Musk is on a Ukrainian government enemies violence hit list.
I'll be right back. I got to bring Loki downstairs. She's been too distracting today.
With the American that ran their information service, the fat man in a wig, pull him up, I forget his name, saying, oh, we're going to come after you in America. We're going to come after you in your country. That's him. Sasha Ashton Cirillo. And there's videos of this dude who was running the enemies list for the government on national TV in Ukraine, saying, we're coming for Senator Josh Hawley, we're coming for Jack Posobiec. There was a criminal investigation opened on this psychotic for threats to a U.S. senator. You know, when you're on a hit list and the person that's the spokesperson for it says, we're going to get you, Senator Hawley, we're going to get you, Elon Musk, we're going to get you, Jack Posobiec, we're going to get you, Alex Jones, and then your reporter leaves and gets shot through the neck. I want a federal investigation of it. But regardless, have you even heard Elon talk about being on this list? I bet he doesn't even know. And I know inside baseball that there have been a bunch of people coming to town recently trying to get him. Nobody knows that. We have major updates on the murder of InfoWars journalist and good personal friend of mine, Jamie White, Sunday night outside his home in South Austin. I want to recap what we know and give you the latest information. And then we're going to look at the reporting Jamie did that got him put on the Ukrainian NATO enemies hit list, and who else is on that list. And this is a microcosm.
Good to see you.
Of the administrative war that the whole Soros DA system is involved in, and then the whole Soros, USAID, CIA proxy war in Ukraine, and the U.S. citizen over there recruiting fighters that then came back with all this dark money and CIA connections and Democrat operative trying to kill Trump at Mar-a-Lago. And the people going after Musk. So let's drill into it
got
right
sticky
now.
again?
Elon Musk was on the Ukraine government NATO-sponsored enemies list, and we had Ukrainian information officials famously then go on television, one of them the man-to-woman tranny.
No such thing.
And saying we're going to come after U.S. citizens, including Elon Musk, Senator Josh Hawley, and others, and myself. I am on the list. So here's Jamie's report on being put on the list, and then they listed the articles he wrote about USAID, Soros, and the CIA funding illegal operations in Ukraine. InfoWars and Alex Jones named an enemies list compiled by Ukraine group linked to U.S. State Department.
Insane, man. Insane. We have another possibly related event that took place as InfoWars host Chase Geyser, host of Sunday Night Live, was swatted at his home. This is attempted murder by transnational globalist actors attempting to silence journalism. I tend to agree. Swatting is attempted murder.
I just rushed back home, talked to the cops. There were, I don't know, half a dozen cop cars outside of my house. And they said that they have been receiving a litany of SWAT requests for my property via 311 via text. Now, these people are refusing to answer the phone or speak. They say that they can only text. And they said that as I was talking to the police in my own driveway 15 or 20 minutes after the initial call, they said that they were still getting 311 messages about my house. So there was a campaign swatting my property today, Alex.
All right, Chase Geyser had to leave about an hour and a half ago, and I'm normally back and forth in his office, but I was so busy I didn't go in there. And he just came running in here. The left just attempted murder of him and his family today. That's what the swatting is. They've done it to MTG like 15 times or something. They've done it to me a bunch, but the cops know, and so they don't even respond anymore. The first 3 times they came and saw me, later they're like, yeah, they're still doing it. Saw it, the gas station like 3 years ago, then again a year ago. They'll see me getting gas in the neighborhood. That's where they get gas, the same place. I live right on the edge of the city, so it's Travis County. And so we've been swatted more than 10 times. But the police, again, know who I am. They don't know Chase.
Real quick. Sorry for the interruption. Sorry for the low volume. We got Darth Jason in the chat from Dark Side Radio. No better way to end your day after a long, hard work day and all the crazy news and stuff than by tuning into Dark Side Radio to unwind, listen to some good tunes, hang out with the Dark Siders, watch some fun stuff. Darth, if you've noticed some spikes in the number of viewers of your show on certain episodes recently, I've been sharing strategically to places to try to give you the maximum amount of views. So shoot me a DM, and I will let you know how to do that as well. So hopefully we can get you a lot more subscribers.
But I guess they're fans when he got there. Chase, you just got swatted today.
Yeah, so what happened was I got a phone call about an hour and a half ago, maybe 2 hours ago. I kind of lost track of time. It's been a whirlwind. From a deputy, and is this Chase Geyser? And I said yes. And as soon as he said he was a police officer, I thought that he was going to ask me some questions about Jamie. Because we did the Sunday night show.
Because our main writer just got murdered.
Yeah, our main writer just got murdered, and
I was on the Ukrainian hit list.
And I had texted Jamie a lot on Sundays, as I usually do, about headlines and stuff like that. So I thought, maybe they're just asking questions about what I knew about what he was doing on Sunday. And they're like, no, we're outside your house with your neighbor, and we've been trying to get in because there was a call that somebody broke into your house and killed your dog, and that you and your family were hiding in your basement. Now in Texas, we don't have basements, so that was the first red flag. And so the first thing I did was make sure that my wife and kids weren't home. They actually weren't. They were getting groceries. And I just rushed back home, talked to the cops. There were, I don't know, half a dozen cop cars outside of my house. And they said that they have been receiving a litany of SWAT requests for my property via 311 via text. Now, these people are refusing to answer the phone or speak. They say that they can only text. And they said that as I was talking to the police in my own driveway 15 or 20 minutes after the initial call, they said that they were still getting 311 messages about my house. So there was a campaign swatting my property today, Alex.
And imagine what they're doing to Musk and to Joe Rogan. And if they think, because I learned about this a few weeks ago when Musk was here in town, I'll leave it at that. Imagine what they're doing to them.
Yes.
So this is the terrorism campaign, as I told you, ratcheting up.
Absolutely.
And to show what a small world it is and how this touches me, because I always care about you as well. My middle daughter does babysitting for you. She's over there sometimes. So that's what's going on here.
Yeah.
Where my kids are. This is the evil of these people. And they're a bunch of cowardly scum, Chase. Let me guess, this isn't going to intimidate you.
No. I mean,
is it going to make you fight harder?
Absolutely, 100%. And what I think it's related to specifically is there's been a lot of talk about this Ukrainian enemies of the state list. Jamie was on it. Alex, you're on it. I'm also on it. I reposted earlier today that I was on it. And I think a lot of the Ukrainian supporters, I don't know if it's from Ukraine or not, it could just be leftists here in the United States, are using that list to weaponize swatting.
Of course they are.
So, yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened in my house today. Sorry I had to leave the office, Alex.
And then imagine the police have already had their funding massively cut. They've got all this real stuff to deal with. And then they're constantly running around to the swatting events.
Absolutely. And I will say that the police were big InfoWars fans, big fans of the Hodge twins specifically, they said. And as soon as I walked up, they're like, oh, this makes sense. They just like recognize us because a lot of the guys in blue, they
still ask you a walkthrough so they could just guarantee.
No, I didn't. They didn't ask to go in my house, and I didn't offer.
Well, they even knew it was pure bull.
Yeah.
Because the first 2 times they said, look, we know you're. Because I was never there. They said I was killing my wife the first 2 times. And then she wasn't even there, like playing tennis or something. Middle of the day, I got to rush home. They're like, okay, well, we need to still go look.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, sure. And they're going to go around. They're going, and of course, we don't really have basements in Texas either. You don't have a basement in your house.
Right. But that, and the reason they call and they say that someone.
I think it sounds like Ukrainians. Look, they're doing it themselves.
Mama Mac's got a haunted basement with a graveyard in it.
It's NATO, buddy.
Yeah, 100%. And I've been, very adamantly opposed to this war ever since the beginning, as of you, Alex. And
well, I showed all Jamie's articles they put on the hit list. It was all true. It's all come out to be true.
100%. They gave $63 billion to Ukraine on Hitler's birthday last year, while our Congress waved Ukrainian flags, April 20th. I mean, come on.
And they give a standing ovation to a real Nazi in Canadian Parliament.
I know.
How do people follow you on X?
Just follow me at Real Chase Geyser, but most important thing you can do is
Salt
follow at Real
dumpster.
Alex Jones and go to the AlexJonesStore.com.
All right, we got Jay Dyer coming in. Your calls and more.
Boom. So their InfoWars journalists are being killed, swatted, crazy stuff going on over there, guys. DC Drano saying it doesn't seem like a coincidence anymore. The day after an InfoWars reporter is murdered outside of his home, another reporter is swatted at theirs. That's attempted murder. What the hell is going on as Chase Geyser got swatted? We do have at least the beginnings of potentially a positive development resulting from this as the Texas governor, Abbott, pushes a bill to deny bail for capital murderers after InfoWars writers' killing. InfoWars reporting on the topic over here. Texas Governor Greg Abbott on Tuesday weighed in on the tragic death of InfoWars reporter Jamie White, and this was trending on X News all day. Yesterday, it was at the top of the list. People are really paying attention to this one. So Abbott has pledged to work with Texas Congress to pass legislation requiring judges to revoke bail to suspects accused of capital murder. Let's check out this little clip of Jones talking about it.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott just responded publicly on X to the savage murder of really our top reporter and writer, Jamie White, Sunday night outside of his home. We're really glad the governor's paying attention to this because the murder of anybody is terrible, but the murder of a journalist is always extremely, extremely suspicious, especially when the Ukrainian government had put him on a hit list for simply stating facts that they were stealing a lot of U.S. taxpayer money. But he did write some of the first reports years ago about USAID being the ones and Soros involved. We're not saying they did it, but since they did put him on a hit list and have their spokesperson say that they would come after him and Elon Musk and Senator Howley, there was a criminal investigation launched on that. We have to say it might not have been gangbangers. Probably was, but here's what the governor just had to say. Stories on Infowars.com. Texas governor pushes bill to deny bail for capital murders after Infowars writer's killing. Republican Governor Greg Abbott weighs in on InfoWars reporter Jamie White's senseless murder. Slap.
So Wendy was asking, what is capital murder? I asked Brave AI, what is the difference between capital murder and capital murder? Capital murder is a more severe form of murder that includes specific aggravating circumstances, making it punishable by the death penalty or life in prison without parole in some jurisdictions. In contrast, ordinary murder is a first-degree felony, punishable by 5 to 99 years in prison or life imprisonment. and a possible fine of up to 10 Gs. Capital murder involves committing murder under specific conditions, such as killing a peace officer, committing murder during another felony, or murdering multiple people. So there you go, Wendy. Good question. Thanks for asking.
Activist judges and Soros-funded Austin District Attorney Jose Garza. Texas Governor Abbott today weighed in on the tragic death of InfoWars reporter Jamie White, pledging to work with Texas Congress to pass legislation required judges to revoke bail to suspects accused of capital murder. Yeah, no, the worst Soros DA in the country, and that's saying a lot, is Jose Garza. He lets people out the day after they shoot somebody. Like on 6th Street, they just shoot random people. Oh, you're out the next morning. One guy spent 2 hours in jail. She shot him at 3 a.m., not at 6 a.m. This senseless murder is a tragedy, said Governor Abbott, and First Lady Abbott pray for his family and loved ones during this difficult time. The governor, press secretary, said in a comment to journalist Britta Murillo. And it continues on with the breakdown on the activist judges and Soros-funded system. This is all really coming to a head. Read the full article right now at Infowars.com. We're obviously going to post this as well on X, but yeah, this reign of terror by Soros and the defunding of the police and cutting the fire departments and draining the reservoirs, and now they left the power on. They knew it would cause the fire. I mean, this is administrative murder. This is Cloward and Piven. They want to collapse society. They've admitted that's the plan. And
thanks to @GOP Get a Backbone for following us on X. If you're watching now, thanks for tuning in.
It's time for us to admit this is premeditated. It's not liberal idiots that are doing it. These are disruptors that want to bring down civilization, and it's us or them. So yes, I want them to find out who did this, and you know Jose Garza will let them out. He lets people out where there's videos of him shooting people on 6th Street. And then they'll just run to Mexico or wherever, whoever this is.
So we need action. We need action. I think Wendy shared this in chat too. Texas embalmer, moving on. Texas embalmer charged with castrating a dead sex offender.
Houston woman facing charges tonight, accused of brutally mutilating a corpse. Fox 26 was the only station in the courtroom after she surrendered to investigators.
And let me warn you, the details of this we were talking about in the newsroom here, they are quite disturbing. Fox 26's Jonathan Mejia is live for us in Bel Air with the details. Jonathan.
Very disturbing. In fact, law enforcement says this is a bizarre case. Now, this woman, she was working as an embalmer at this mortuary service right behind me. That's when investigators say she cut off the genitals of a deceased man, then placed it in his mouth.
And everybody deserves to go out of this world and into the next, without this kind of trauma, without this kind of stuff going on.
Do they really, though? Do they really? I don't know.
So it was a very, very odd case.
This is 34-year-old Amber Laudermilk. She is facing felony charges for abuse to a corpse. Now, the victim, according to court documents, was 58-year-old Charles Rodriguez. The documents say that Laudermilk cut his penis, then put it in his mouth. Rodriguez's family says he was a registered sex offender. Investigators say Laudermilk did this in front of apprentices at the mortuary services where she was working. How did this all come to light?
The Texas Funeral Service Commission, there were people present. This defendant was an instructor on embalming and was teaching a class and did this in front of the class. She threatened them not to obviously say anything, but that's what makes it more bizarre. She didn't
did it in front of the class?
Private. She did it in front of other people.
Do we know if she has done this before?
Not that we're aware of that she's done
Crazy.
this before, and I really don't know a whole lot about her past. There may be something there in her past that led to her acting out in this behavior. I don't know, but it's a very bizarre case.
Any indication what her motives were? Did she know this deceased person?
She did not know this decedent. She. I'm not 100% sure. She may have had some kind of issue in her past relative to a sexual assault. I don't know. I don't know what was in her mind. All I know is that you cannot abuse a corpse.
Laudermilk faces up to 2 years in prison if convicted and is currently under a $5,000 bond.
All I know is that you cannot abuse a corpse. Once someone's deceased, you can't mutilate this corpse the way that she did. It was horrible.
Crazy.
Laudermilk's embalmer's license is currently under suspended and is under review by the Texas Funeral Service Commission to be permanently revoked. For now, reporting live in Bel Air, Jonathan Mejia, Fox 26 News.
Crazy, Wendy. Thanks for sharing. Added that to the list so that we'll be with the show notes as well. Other crazy stuff, as Elon Musk says, this is crazy, reposting Amuse at Amuse over on X. Terror. Multiple demon rat NGOs have coordinated attacks on Tesla dealerships, staff, and vehicles. Last night, a number of Cybertrucks were torched in Seattle. Demon rats are becoming increasingly more desperate and violent. Yeah, you can say that again. These people are lunatics.
Tesla Cybertruck. Oh my gosh, a Tesla Cybertruck is on fire.
You don't want to set them on fire because the batteries will go crazy and you can't even put it up or you put it out. It's insane. You're playing with serious firepower if you're setting electric vehicles on fire.
All right. There's a fleet of Cybertrucks right now. Unbelievable. Seattle fire on the scene.
So you gotta get off the property.
Breaking news. I'm sorry?
Get off the property.
All right, you've got dozens of firefighters now putting out flames.
Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. So President Trump has called out the coordinated and well-funded demon rat party-sponsored terror attacks on Tesla by publicly stating, quote, I will label attacks on Tesla and Tesla dealerships as domestic terrorisms. We already know who some of them are. We're going to catch them. They're the same guys that screw around with our schools and universities. Interesting.
Mr. President, you talked about some of the violence that's been going on around the country at dealerships. Some say they should be labeled domestic terrorists because...
I will do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them.
Right, they care so much about the environment, but then they set fire to EV batteries, which are horrible for the environment. Good call, Takcho.
We catch anybody doing it because they're harming a great American company. You know, I've stuck up for the NFL. I've stuck up for a lot of American companies and other companies, but American companies. I did a very big favor for the NFL. I do favors for all. When you heard an American company, especially a company like this, supplies so many jobs that others are unable to do. When you do that, those people are going to go through a big problem when we catch them. And we have you get a lot of cameras up. We already know who some of them are. We're going to catch them. And they're bad guys. They're the same guys that screw around with our schools and universities, the same garbage. And no, we're going to catch them. And let me tell you, you do it to Tesla and you do it to any company.
The issue is much deeper than that. A coordinated attack on Elon Musk's companies. This is a criminal organization attacking Elon Musk's companies. Now, what did Trump do today? He comes out and he announces that he will be treating those attacking Musk's Tesla dealerships as domestic terrorists.
Just like the cartel. My bell asking where you can hear more of my music. You can hear some over here on my Mortis Noctu channel from when I was doing revolutionary rap back in the day. Here's a link posted in the chat. Here's another one of my musical projects over here on a different channel. This one is metal music. Project codename Orchard Flamethrower Mayhem on my Lord Sterling channel over here. I'll share this one as well. Also have videos, nature videos like I was talking about earlier, watching bald eagles and stuff like that. Check out this video that I took a few years ago of some eagles stealing some seagulls dinner. An eagle stealing some seagulls dinner. Look at that thing. Fucking attack jet. Then the landing gear comes down and it scoops up the seagull's dinner and they are pissed. Boom! I shot this sitting inside of my car. And the eagle flies back over towards the nest. And once it gets close enough to the nest, the seagulls are like, we're not fucking around. They know not to get too close to the babies, because there are babies in there waiting for that meal. Look at those juvenile eagles. I got footage of them right as they were learning how to fly, sitting in the nest, flapping their wings and everything. So I'm kind of lucky with this location where I am, at least in terms of being able to watch bald eagles in the wild. Thanks, Donna. Yeah, I shot it 4K, and it looks very impressive, but it's from a 4K video, and I cropped it and zoomed up to track the eagle to give it that extra impressive tight zoom look on it. It took forever to get that editing right. But this is over at my Lord Sterling channel, where you can also hear music like this. We'll listen to a couple minutes, then get back into the news. This is all me. On the guitar, on the bass, and a program to the drums. Dr. Michael Schwartz in the house. What's up, Doc? What's up, Doc? Thanks for the raid. Thanks, Wiley. Appreciate you. So this song, when completed, will be album length. And it's about the Greek hero Theseus sailing to Minos, to Crete, to enter the labyrinth built by King Minos that housed the Minotaur. So this song is about Theseus slaying the Minotaur. There will be lyrics. I already have lyrics recorded, partial lyrics on another version. We'll play a little bit of one of the rap songs too, just so you guys can hear the versatility. Let's see, which one should we do? Which one should we do? I don't think we play this one a lot. Let's check out this from 2010, Ride Forward, but with four spelled F-O-R-E, meaning forward, but also backwards. With you know, like Make America Great Again. That was my way of saying it back in 2010. my mixing level skill is decent. Practiced, studied a bunch of stuff to learn some of that stuff. There's also some great plugins like Ozone that help tighten up your mix and take away a lot of the mastering work that you have to do. And that super fast solo, that's actually, there's some studio trickery in there. I can't really play arpeggios that fast, so I played the notes individually and then spliced them together. And what I do, and then it sounds real. It sounds like I actually played it. What I do is I record the guitar with a direct input into my audio interface, and then I apply distortion and delay and reverb and effects on top of that. So if I were to record it with an amplifier and a microphone, if you were to chop it up and then put it back together, it would sound like garbage. But with a direct input signal and some slick editing, you can create anything, even just one note at a time, and then splicing it all together. So a little bit of trickery, but it worked out in the end. So you can fake it till you make it. You know what I mean? It was one of the rap songs. Thanks, Bryce.
It's the year 2010, and here in America, banks get bailed out while we the people go hysterical. It's hysteria, massive collapses, breaking all established barriers. Real estate bubble, aftermath, dollar inflation. Gotta get precious metals for legitimate savings. It's time to realize the government lies. We're in it together, America, the torch carriers. Federal government oversteps its jurisdiction with conviction. Listen, they're even building secret FEMA prisons. How do you feel about that? Most people would deny it outright, but those are the facts. Obama cutting down the 10th Amendment. The states are getting pissed, sending orders to the feds to cease and desist. What is it gonna take for states and people to make the right decision? To break the bonds of tyranny and follow the vision of independence and freedom. It's only once they're gone you realize how badly you need them. To survive, to thrive, to feel alive, to prosper, that's what we've got to do. Return the constitutional law for all of us, recognize human rights and prevent a modern holocaust. Cause world government equals genocide, and if the new world order's allowed to survive, then only 500 million will be left alive. They're talking worldwide, YouTube torture guys, so to see with your own eyes. The plans for the planet, carved by the hands of the elite. Rosicrucian secret society, packing lethal heat. It's time for all free-thinking people to combine forces. Gather all your cavalry horses, patriots, ride forward.
Who is Ron Paul? So this is one of a bunch of tracks that I did that are mostly all created with beats made from chopped up Pink Floyd songs and turned into rap, covering various topics. Let's play one more while we're doing it over here. Actually, let's do a one that's on T Mage's channel. A collaboration with my partner in rhyme, T Mage. This one is Cut It, Son.
Eratosthenes accurately calculated the size of the Earth. He mapped it, and he argued that it could be circumvented.
Yeah, they're telling us that the earth is flat, that right is wrong, that war is peace, that freedom is slavery, that mercury's good for your health, hence I'm writing this song. I'm meant to ride with the light side, fighting the dark. They're proposing putting lithium in the water and drums, while the UN and DynCorp are kidnapping your daughters and sons. It's full spectrum domination, mainstream media propaganda on all the stations. It's Orwellian doublespeak, insanity, oxymoronical redundancy, no tongue in cheek. It's plain to see through the game if you ain't a sheep. Life on a prison planet, it's up to you to make it free. Your body's hard at work, but your mind is on vacation. Start thinking, stop complaining, start learning, so your work could mean something and we can start regaining the freedoms that we lost. No compromises, overstep the lines, I'ma blow like a geyser. Stand up for my rights, and if necessary, put your lights out. Blow the whistle, expose the corruption, return transparency to government, reveal the inner functions, so we can fix the conditions that are leading to the suffering. No time to waste, start playback while it's buffering. Cock back, bust again, information missiles lock, blast for the win.
The three-dimensional creature is unhappy about being considered a psychological aberration.
This is T Mage.
Doors will speak.
Floors will creak, the lesson they want you to learn is war is peace. Young males like see me flex, watching PBS at CPS. TV tray, LOL, JK, DNA made of BPA. Get these peeps to try just to Google BCCI. I've reached to the sky to teach the blind to see the lies, to feel the why. It's worth a try, man, it's worth a try. Give me the bat, give me the bats, giving the rats the crack with the rap master pack. The raptor's back, kicking and ripping and sticking the fish in the barrel. Shoot him is sick in the whole picnic. No witness and no dishes. I'll risk it. Well, Fox News fans bitch for more biscuits.
There we go, Wendy.
Walk the plank, drop the anchor on the
Hopefully that
wankers.
works.
Made y'all ranks ya. Hey gangster, you start dying the day the doc spanks ya. Get to the black granite at the heart of Giza. The start I'll leave ya. I'll speeding and out reading ya. Plus they overfeeding ya. I see it in ya. I'm like that silver star, best in the class with the realest scars. You wanna know what the man is? Let me be like Kurt Rambis. Burn canvas off the flanges.
We were visited by ETs. Whatever they talk. Let's imagine that we are perfectly flat. I mean, absolutely flat, and that we live appropriately enough in a flat land.
We really need to get the truth to the people so they can see past the lies and deceit and through to the evil. New world order, rule of the few, deceitful, controlling the masses, never lowering taxes, holding the assets, owning your asses, poisoning plastics, anointing the fascists, creating the class splits. It's batshit crazy, makes me lyrical backflip, verbal Gatling, info bullets pack blasting.
I like that little part at the end there. New world order, rule of the few, deceitful, controlling the masses, never lowering taxes, holding the assets, owning your asses, poisoning plastics, anointing the fascists, creating the class splits. It's batshit crazy, makes me lyrical backflip, etc. Back to the news. Hope you guys enjoyed that little musical interlude. Links in the chat if you want access to more tunes by yours truly.
But let's kind of put all of this into perspective. Because what does it really mean? What does it really represent? And if Trump is serious about this, then this is just the beginning. There is clearly a coordinated campaign to attack Elon Musk and Tesla car dealerships. Over 120 car dealerships and or Tesla power charging stations have been vandalized.
Insane. 120. Sorry about the chat. Busted on screen. Looks like Evie Mux is having a little bit of a glitch over there. On my inside the studio, I can see chat working perfectly fine, but it looks like there's some error going on where chat is stuck on the screen. So sorry about that, guys.
There have been protests breaking out all across the nation. This is clearly coordinated. This is clearly well-funded, and the Democrats do this all the time. They've done it for, you name the cause. How many different causes have we seen come and go that the Democrats get massive organization and massive funding to drum up these protests? How many times have we seen it? Tons of times. Most of it is just aimed against Trump, but they have different masks and colors and everything that they wear. And so now it's Musk. So you can prove this is coordinated, funded, and organized. And yes, at this point, there have been enough death threats and enough vandalism that you can clearly mark this as a criminal operation. But see, it's not just about Tesla or Musk. This is what the Democrats have been doing for years, really decades. You can go back to Bill Ayers and the Weather Underground.
Weather Underground, yep.
Which is the group Obama launched his political career through.
Yeah, his mentor. They literally sat, who is it? There was an FBI whistleblower who was in the Weather Underground who sat in meetings with him and talked about how they planned the systematic extermination of tens of millions of Americans. And the head of the group, Bill Ayers, was Obama's mentor, who arguably wrote his book, Dreams from My Father. Interesting stuff there.
And then some other Catholic groups that had a bunch of pedophiles running around, but that's neither here nor there. The point is that there's a long history of the Democrat Party engaging in this. And it's only been hyped up and grown in the years since Trump ran for president. So it's not just the attacks on Tesla or Musk. It's all of it. It's all of it. It's Black Lives Matter. It's Antifa. It's the Women's March. It's all of them. All of these protest groups have the same source funding and the same source organization. All of the crimes that they've committed over the last, say, 10 years, since Trump announced he was running for president, it's all coordinated. It's all well-funded. It's all coordinated. Might even lead right back to USAID. And this is a Weather Underground bomb-making video, guys, that we have on the screen here. I'm guessing. When they used to rob banks and everything. That's the Democrat Party. I've been saying it for years. How many people have been listening to this show for years? How long have I been saying the Democrat Party is the biggest terror group and hate group in the history of this country?
Yep. Hard to argue against that. Even Ro Khanna is agreeing with this, saying there is zero tolerance for acts of vandalism against Tesla. Spraying the words Nazi cars or lighting fire to dealerships and chargers is wrong. It's wrong. He did the Cartman. It's wrong, guys. It's wrong.
I'm telling you guys, it's wrong. It's wrong. I'm telling you guys, it's wrong. It's wrong.
So good. Period. All demon rats should condemn it. Can't find a single Democrat in office that has condemned the escalating attacks on Tesla. I'm right? This guy's a Democrat, something or rather rep, isn't he? Ro Khanna. So we do have Trump classifying the Tesla vandalism as domestic terrorism, announcing that acts of violence against Tesla dealerships will now officially be recognized as domestic terrorism. It is. It's violence for a political purpose. Mabel, feel free to drop links. Everybody is welcome to drop links in the chat as long as you're not just showing up to like spam products and not actually listening to the show or participating or hanging out. Mabel, everybody's welcome to promote your own stuff. If you got a channel that you want people to check out, feel free to post it in chat. If you got music you want people to check out, feel free to post it in the chat. It's all welcome here at Common Censored. Mabel's band, My Troubled Days. He just dropped the link in the chat for their website. Check them out, guys. Really good stuff. So, looks like these guys are going to be named domestic terrorists, just like the cartels.
Some say they should be labeled domestic terrorists.
I will do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them. We catch anybody doing it because they're harming a great American company. You know, I've stuck up for the NFL. I've stuck up for a lot of American companies and other companies, but American companies. I did a very big favor for the NFL. I do favors for all of them. When you heard an American...
So we saw that clip just from a different angle. How about this story? This is another good one. Alina Habba highlights the alleged fake Oval Office setup. You guys remember this? When Biden was doing, videos in the Oval Office, but the view out the window is something different than the Rose Garden. And it turned out that they had built an Oval Office set like down the street from the White House. And we never got an explanation as to what was up with that. Now, Alina Habba, an advisor to Donald Trump, has made claims on social media about discovering what she describes as a, quote, fake Oval Office setup, implying it was used by President Joe Biden for media or public appearances. We know this for a fact. These claims have sparked discussions and skepticisms among social media users regarding the legitimacy of Biden's presidency. However, there's no official verification or substantial evidence provided to support these allegations. The use of such setups for media broadcasts or security measures is common across various administrations for various different purposes. Yeah, we do know that they had a fake Oval Office, man. Here's one of here's a clip from Alina Habba.
Guys, I just finished a show. Look at the room that they put me in. We're in Biden's fake Oval Office, everybody. And I've actually figured this out. I now know why. I now get it. Turn the camera around. There is a screen, teleprompter to the face. All I can say is the last administration was a disgrace. You guys?
So crazy, man. Super duper crazy stuff. So the link to the trending topic will be over here in the video description. Disgrace, she says, a fucking disgrace. Completely insane. Let's see. Biden. Oh. Biden fake Oval Office. Let's see if we can find some of the footage of the set from back in the day. Here's the same set. It looks like dressed up a little bit differently. This was a big scandal a couple of years ago. There's this particular set in question, but it was like set up as the Oval Office, actually, at a previous point in time. This one, I think, as a clip from the fake Oval Office set. It's ridiculous, man. Everything that his administration did was fake. Ah, look at this. A Pepe setup. Oh my God. That is a rare Pepe right there, guys. That is a rare Pepe. Super crazy, though. If I can find more footage of the fake Oval Office, then we will check it out. Let's see what this one is.
My fellow Americans and autists who voted for Trump, it's your boy Dank Brandon here.
Dank Brandon.
I want to take a moment to congratulate the DNC on losing another election to Donald Trump. You replaced me with a candidate who has the same likability as Greasy, hobo taint and expected to win, and they say I'm the retarded one. The Democrats said that I was too old, that I was too slow, that I was a joke. Well, here's a joke for you. What do Willie Brown and the 2024 presidential election have in common? Kamala Harris blew both of them. I shouldn't have said that. But seriously, I mean, first Hillary loses to Donald and now Kamala. This man has beaten more women than Doug Emhoff. Anyways, congrats on losing to Hitler again. I hope he locked you all up this time. Dank Brandon out.
Dank Brandon out. You guys remember that? Hilarious. Hilarious. So, Joe Biden had a fake Oval Office, and we have some interesting updates on the Pardon Derek website from Daily Wire, the Gaily Wire, the Israeli Wire, whatever you want to call it. Let's check in with a quartering. It's been a little while since we checked in with a good old quarter pounder, Jeremy over here. Coffee brand of coffee. Don't forget about coffee brand of coffee, guys. Apparently, he's making allegations. He and Mark Dice making allegations that it's just a setup to try to get your name on email lists so they can sell you their products.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the quartering, and I know that I have in the past definitely had my issues with the Daily Wire. I do think that the Daily Wire is a net positive organization that has done a lot of good things. Do they grift? Their $10 chocolate bars? Sure, I can make fun of that, but I also understand that, it takes money. I talk about my coffee all the time. You guys get so annoyed with it. All that kind of stuff. I don't really care about the ads. I don't care about the razors or the chocolate bars. But I thought this was particularly scumbaggy. It looks like the Daily Wire is knowingly, willingly running this campaign to pardon Derek, the man that was, sentenced to prison so that, activists would stop burning down cities. Derek Chauvin, they want to pardon him, but it turns out it's all just a grift to get your email addresses and sell you crap. They actually have no interest whatsoever in freeing Derek. And I can prove it because, quite frankly, Ben Shapiro knows that Donald Trump cannot pardon Derek Chauvin. They knew this. They launched a website and they did so to collect your email addresses. That's it. Now, how do I know this? Well, first of all, this story was broke by Mark Dice this morning. So massive shout out to Mark Dice. You may have noticed that they have been running this free Derek, right? We want to free pardonderek.com. Well, let me lay out some very simple specifics. The president cannot pardon state charges. The president can pardon federal charges. Derek Chauvin is in prison on state charges. There's some weird escalator, like a federal charge of like something stupid. But he's in prison on a state charge. Donald Trump can pardon him for that all he wants, but he's not getting out of prison. Ben Shapiro knows this. Ben Shapiro is a Harvard-educated lawyer. Ben Shapiro knows exactly what he can pardon and what he can't pardon. If you look at Derek, okay, and obviously they know this, okay, he is in prison on state charges. The unintentional second degree and third degree, fourth degree, these are state charges. Donald Trump cannot pardon him. Okay, so It doesn't matter. So, and again, I'm pointing out that he
19.
knows this. Ben Shapiro is a Harvard-educated lawyer. He knows this. Yet they registered PardonDerek.com on March 3rd because someone had a great idea that it would pump up email addresses. You want to sign the petition? You go to PardonDerek.com, you look at their petition. Guess what? By clicking here, you consent to receive emails featuring news and special offers from the Daily Wire and our sponsors. This is all an elaborate ruse to build their email address so that they can sell your data to their sponsors. So that when they have a sponsor, they can say, our email list is 8 million people long. They're pumping up their numbers on their email list under the guise of giving a damn about Derek Chauvin.
Let's check in with Mark Dice's expose on this topic. 35,000 likes to 541 dislikes. I can usually tell when a video is good because there will be at least a 100-to-1 ratio of likes versus dislikes. This one's way higher than that, so good job, Mark.
Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire have sunk to a new low, but his ignorant audience thinks that his new campaign...
Actually, I did the math wrong. It's not quite there, but it's close.
Encouraging President Trump to pardon Derek Chauvin. He's the police officer who was blamed for George Floyd's overdose. His ignorant audience not aware of the incredible gatekeeping that the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro engages in, thinks that that is a great idea, that Ben Shapiro is very brave for taking on such a controversial position. But if you understand what it is that they're actually doing, you realize that this is a new low in conservative media. Stay tuned for this because, as Paul Harvey used to say, wait until you hear the rest of the story. And subscribe to my channel if you're new here because you're not going to get information and analysis like this anywhere else. But how could this possibly be a bad thing, you're wondering? Shouldn't Derek Chauvin be released from prison? Well, absolutely. But like I said, wait for it.
JJR said it's sneaky. Sneaky made me think of this.
Wow! You kind of just snuck up on me there, man. I fear you're underestimating the sneakiness, sir.
Never underestimate the sneakiness. Rule number 3.
He didn't just make this announcement off the top of his head. This was a planned campaign that they launched last week with an accompanying website, PardonDerek.com, which we'll look at closely in a moment.
President Trump should, in fact, pardon Derek Chauvin. As I say, we will be covering this pretty extensively in the coming weeks. Right now, you should go to PardonDerek.com and sign our petition asking President Trump to grant justice to Officer Derek Chauvin. That is pardon, P-A-R-D-O-N, Derek.com, P-A-R-D-O-N-D-E-R-E-K.com.
This sneaky little fuck, man.
Shapiro is a Harvard-educated lawyer, and he, of all people, knows that...
I even said at the time, it's state charges. Like, what? Right? It's a federal escalator, apparently. But it will have virtually no effect.
President Trump can't get Derek Chauvin out of prison because he was convicted on state murder charges. He was convicted on federal civil rights violations as well, which President Trump couldn't pardon those, but he still isn't going to get out of prison. But little Ben is giving the impression that Derek Chauvin could just be set free. He can just walk right out of prison, just like the Proud Boys, who deserve to all be set free. And again, this wasn't just a comment that he made off the top of his head. This is part of a campaign with their new website, PardonDerek.com, which then leads you to the Daily Wire's website, where it has this note here, which says, we encourage you, President Trump, to pardon Officer Derek Chauvin. Sign the petition over here. And then the fine print right there you can read says, by clicking here, you consent to receive emails featuring news and special offers from the Daily Wire and our sponsors. So this is literally nothing more than a publicity stunt for the Daily Wire to increase their email list so that they can spam people, encouraging them to become paid members for the Daily Wire Plus and to shill all of their products like their proprietary Jeremy's razors and the Daily Wire chocolate bars. That is the face of a lying devil. It would be one thing if President Trump actually could get Derek Chauvin out of prison, but again, he can't, and Ben knows that. If Ben Shapiro wanted to reach the President of the United States for any reason, all he would have to do is just send a text message or pick up the phone and call any of the number of senators or members of the House of Representatives whose personal cell phone number he has. Last week, he was Speaker of the House Mike Johnson's guest at the joint address to Congress. That's how well connected Ben is to the power structure. And the Daily Wire is now running this PardonDerek.com scam as an ad on their shows.
Democrats are on the run, and we're going to get to just why in a moment. First, the Daily Wire continues our fight. As you know, on this show, we've been calling for the pardon of Derek Chauvin. Derek Chauvin was railroaded.
Yes, we know that. In fact, we knew that the day that the video went public because it was clear that he was having a medical issue. But at the time, Little Ben threw Derek Chauvin under the bus, posting on Twitter that he just returned from a 2-day Jewish holiday and half the country is on fire. We all agree, he says, on George Floyd, which is why a bad cop is now under arrest. He went on to say that the government has one primary function: to prevent the violation of rights to life and liberty. A police officer destroyed George Floyd's rights. He did at least condemn the rioting and the looting, saying, "You're not stealing that TV to honor George Floyd or protest police brutality. You're stealing that TV because you're a POS." And yes, of course, the officers plural, in that video should be prosecuted to the full extent of their law breaking. What laws did they break, Ben? This is the same guy who condemned cartoonist Scott Adams, calling him a racist a dozen times because he simply said that he prefers to live in a white neighborhood with fellow white people.
Just to rewind for a second, Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, he said some racist stuff, which of course is indeed racist. What he said was in fact racist. You can fully acknowledge Scott Adams' racism and still also recognize that the media would be totally fine with Scott Adams' racism if it was directed in precise reverse at white people. In the United States, if you direct racism against black Americans, that of course is verboten, is very bad, and you'll have your career ended. And there's a strong case that that ought to be the case because racism is bad.
Strong evidence, he says, that Scott Adams should have had his career destroyed, which of course it was. His syndicator canceled his syndication deal, and he lost a bunch of other sponsors, and his career as one of the most popular syndicated comics in American history was destroyed, just like Ben wanted. The same Ben Shapiro who threw a hissy fit after Tucker Carlson interviewed Alex Jones on his new podcast once he became independent after getting fired from Fox News, which then ultimately led to Elon Musk finally restoring Alex's account. You may recall that I listed all the evidence of why Alex was actually banned. Elon responded to my post personally and said, "This is correct," and then restored his account. That made Ben very upset.
It's hard to find less of an Alex Jones fan than I am. The sort of soft peddling of Alex Jones that Tucker Carlson did on his X show the other day, I thought was...
Yeah, because Alex Jones has been calling you out as a plant since the 2000s.
Absurd. Because frankly, I don't think Alex Jones is totally worth defending as a human being.
Well, Ben, I guess that's just one of 100 things you and I disagree on. Just like I don't believe that anyone in conservative media or anyone in media or anyone anywhere should be canceled because they express sympathy for the innocent Palestinians in Gaza. In fact, the neocon position is that there are no innocent Palestinians in Gaza, period. But we all know what happened to Candace Owens after she started expressing sympathy for the innocent civilians there. And then instead of admitting the now obvious unwritten rule of conservative mainstream media, thou shalt not criticize Israel for any reason whatsoever, no matter what, Ben just sat there silently when he was asked why they fired Candace.
So, kind of sucks, man. Kind of shady. Trying to do, claiming you're trying to do something good that will have virtually no effect, and then using it to grift and get a bunch of people on your email list. That's pretty messed up, man. That's pretty messed up. Let's move on. We have an ethics complaint targeting Alexandria Occasional Cortex. Her dance training, expensive. Reprehensive Alexandria Occasional Cortex has been hit with an ethics complaint filed by the Americans for Public Trust organization, questioning the appropriateness of certain expenditures from her member representational allowance. These expenditures include payments to Juan D. Gonzalez and Bombazo Dance Co. Inc., described as training costs, raising concerns about the use of taxpayer funds for what might be perceived as non-official duties. But she's got to make dancing TikToks and fighting TikToks. So, she's got to go to dance school to be able to do her dance TikToks and stuff. Like, insane. MAGA voice saying it's happening. AOC was just now hit with an ethics complaint for her, quote, troubling expenses. I fully support locking AOC up. She needs to be in handcuffs. Handcuffs! Americans for Public Trust, Libs of TikTok says, has filed an ethics complaint against AOC after allegedly discovering, quote, several troubling expenses, including payments for dance classes using taxpayer dollars. Why are we funding AOC's dance classes? Holy fuck, says Chicago One Ray. AOC has been slapped with an ethics complaint for misusing expenditures for official duties on 2 dance instructors. Do you want the House Republicans to force AOC to pay back every dime of the $4,550 back? Yeah, I think so. So that's happening. Link will be in the description. We also had the continuing resolution passed the House earlier today with Thomas Massey voting against it. And this is leading up to this. There's been a whole firestorm about this whole thing with Trump saying that he wants to primary Thomas Massey and that he'll lead the charge. Ron Paul, the voice of sanity as usual, saying, here we go again. Remember back in 2020 when Congressman Thomas Massey heroically stood up against the $2 trillion in COVID spending? Back then, Trump called Massey a, quote, third-rate grandstander and a, quote, disaster for America. But Massey was correct. He was primaried for standing firm and was victorious in the election. The COVID spending helped to usher in the inflation that we're still dealing with today, not to mention all of the fraud. Once again, Congressman Massey refuses to support reckless Republican spending and debt. And once again, President Trump seeks to primary Massey after comparing him to Lizard Cheney. If Congress was composed of hundreds of Thomas Masseys, we wouldn't be trying to claw our way out of the abyss right now. That's right. Thomas Massey is the new Dr. No, the new Ron Paul. Thomas Massey. So they break this down in today's episode of the Liberty Report. But here is a relevant segment from Dr. Paul. House Speaker Mike Johnson is pushing Republicans to pass yet another, quote, continuing resolution to keep funding government at current levels until September. That means that all the, quote, cuts, unquote, by Doge are just smoke and mirrors, as the Trump administration will be spending at the levels of Biden and even the Obama administrations. Let's hear Dr. Paul's take on this situation. What Thomas Massey wanted to do was have 12 separate bills, which makes perfect fucking sense. They should be doing individual issue bills, not massive continuing resolutions where they mix everything all up together and manipulate reps to pass it so that they can sneak through other stuff that we shouldn't be spending money on. Let's is this the right link? Yeah, let's listen to some of this.
The Liberty Report. With us today, we have Daniel McAdams, our co-host. Daniel, good to see you this morning.
Happy Monday, Dr. Paul. How are you today?
I'm doing well.
Good.
So this is
Ready and
yesterday's
raring to
Liberty
go.
Report.
Let's do it.
But we want to look at the success or failure, or where are we on cutting spending?
Yeah.
I think we have a message to follow from the last election. I think the American people are sick and tired of the spending and the lying and the cheating. And right now, though, they're finding out what an embedded bureaucracy is to cheat and lie and steal the people's money and do it in the name of goodness and democracy and taking care of people and being humanitarians. That's their excuse for this. But I see what's happening right now as a climactic ending to a point in our history that we were fortunate to have an opportunity to live beyond our means, power, minerals, military, the whole works, and live beyond our means. The currency, having the reserve currency in the world gives you license to steal by just printing money.
That's right. And I hope you're right, Cheddar. I hope he never, ever ages. Ever. We need him to stay with us, man.
In other countries, as long as they get their little fair share, they go along with it. But I think this is not an ordinary downturn. I think this is highlighting a significant turn and a forced admission that our country is bankrupt. And I used to say, oh, they're bankrupt morally, they're bankrupt financially. I've decided that the moral bankruptcy is the worst, because the moral bankruptcy leads to doing whatever they want when they have political power. But right now, the Congress we have some people there with Musk and Trump, and I think they're very sincere to want to come back. But when you look between the lines, you wonder, well, why are they doing some of these things? What do you do in this place? You're supposed to be cutting, and there's some loopholes. And if you want to read somebody that I've read and knew and worked with in the Congress, David Stockman, he knows where the loopholes are. And he reveals this, and he talks. He has an article out about rescission. As Congress, by the Constitution, said that you can, use rescission and cancel out and cancel out what you can do. The Congress has to do it regardless of how much resistance there is. And I don't particularly like that interpretation, but anyway, they're going through the motion of trying to cut, and I just wonder what their deep down feeling is, because they had a desire. Obviously, Musk had strong desires, and he's converted a lot of the wishy-washy conservatives to his side. And I just wonder what they're thinking now. I wonder if they think, boy, I didn't know what we were getting into. This is almost like an impossible task. And I've always leaned toward that point, that this correction would come. There is going to be a liquidation of the malinvestment and all the debt, because it cannot be sustained. And the liquidation will come not in the form of sanity and getting the right people. Not that I'm against that. People need to know what's going on. But that eventually the people will refuse to accept the biting the bullet and cutting back. And it will lead to what the market demands, and that's a correction. And I think we're seeing that, and people's standard of living is going down. When's the recession going to start? I bet you could find a fair number of people in this country right now who are suffering
it already
from
did, like 2 years
recession,
ago.
depression.
They changed the definition of recession, so they wouldn't have to say it's a recession. Bongino has an argument against Thomas Massie over here, and makes some pretty good points too.
But he's definitely wrong on this one. And that's why I don't agree. And I've defended Congressman Massie in the past. You just go back and watch the shows. I don't get emotional about these things. He has been amazing on the January 6th pipe bomber case. Incredible. He is wrong here. He's just...
It's always 420 somewhere.
I'm sorry. He's wrong. He doesn't have a tactical plan to cut spending. I just gave it to you. Get rid of this CR, deal with it for 3 more months, move on to reconciliation, and fight the fight there where you actually have the numbers. Does that make sense? Anybody disagree? If you think that I'm a toolbox and a jerk right now, and you're like, that's just crazy, tell me in a chat. I'm open. All I'm asking you is, if you believe that, tell me what your plan is. Tell me what your plan is to get over the Senate filibuster. If you have it, I'd love to hear it. Everybody, everybody can talk a big game. The problem is you have to have a plan to implement it on the field. Did not.
So it seems to me that Massie is not approaching this from a strategic point. He's just voting on principle like Ron Paul, who would vote no for virtually everything, which is where he got the nickname Dr. No. Like the Bond movie, except instead of a bad guy, he was a good guy. So Rep. Massie responded after Trump vowed to lead the primary challenge for him opposing the funding bill. Libertarian-leaning Rep. Thomas Massie is remaining defiant, even in the face of a potentially serious primary challenger supported by President Trump. This one's by Cullen Linebarger, Gateway Pundit. Trump has declared a political war on Massie for opposing the Trump-backed funding bill, but Massie is a hard no. He slammed the bill as a uniparty deal that fully funds U.S. aid while providing zero funds for the border wall. CR is a uniparty deal, he said. It doesn't fund the wall. It does fund U.S. aid, he wrote. The Demon Rats depart for a retreat on Wednesday, so they've already agreed to provide enough votes to pass the CR. Meanwhile, our election mandate will wane by this coming September. Quote, I'm not voting for the continuing resolution budget. Copy paste omnibus this week, he added. Why would I vote to continue the waste, fraud, and abuse Doge has found? We were told the CR in December would get us to March when we would fight. Here we are in March, punting it again. WTFO. Not sure what does WTFO mean? What the fuck? Oh. I don't know what that means. Massie's position infuriated Trump, who demanded someone challenge Massie in a GOP primary while comparing him to disgraced neocon warmonger Lizard Cheney. So here's his quote. "Thank you to the Freedom Caucus for just delivering a big blow to the radical left demon rats and their desire to raise taxes and shut our country down. They hate America and all it stands for. That's why they allowed millions of criminals to invade our nation. Sometimes it takes great courage to do the right thing." Congressman Thomas Massey of beautiful Kentucky is an automatic no vote on just about everything, despite the fact that he has always voted for continuing resolutions in the past. He should be primaried, and I will lead the charge against him. He's just another grandstander who's too much trouble and not worth the fight. He reminds me of Lizard Cheney before her historic record-breaking fall. The people of Kentucky won't stand for it. Just watch. Do I have any takers? Anyway, thank you again to the House Freedom Caucus for the very important vote. We need to buy some time in order to make America great again, greater than ever before. Unite and win. He later criticized Massey for voting to delay the final debt ceiling bill from the Biden regime, which extended into the Trump admin, calling it a, quote, horrendously stupid move. Then he reiterated his primary threat. Tuesday afternoon, Massey responded to Trump's primary threat by vowing not to cave to Trump while claiming Canada will eventually bend the knee, which they did. POTUS is spending his day on attacking me and Canada. The difference is Canada will eventually cave. Oh, man. Massey also called Trump's Afternoon Truth social post misleading, saying he never voted for a CR that became law. He also stated that the debt ceiling bill Trump was referring to had an 8% cut in discretionary spending. Quote, "Do the research and you will find I have been consistent," he added. A Massey primary challenge would prove quite difficult than previous ones backed by Trump. Unlike Lizard Cheney, Massey has considerable support from MAGA conservatives who see him as an ally against the deep state, big government, and endless wars. And Trump's post on Truth Social about this was getting ratioed, I believe. Let's hop over to Truth and see if we can find the actual post at Real Donald Trump. Let's see. Not sure exactly where it is. 32,000 likes on this one, 5,000 comments. Guess he's not getting ratioed anymore. 26,000 on this one, 3.5 thousand comments. So, no longer getting ratioed. Wiley posted a link in the chat also, argument against Massey from DC Drano on Massey, saying, "What if I told you there was a GOP congressman in office for 12 plus years who has never passed a single bill, didn't believe there was election fraud in 2020, loves Mitch McConnell, raised Biden's debt ceiling, and is against time limits?" So there's that take as well. Make up your own minds. Definitely not telling you what to think. Assume everything we say is false and research for yourself. How about this one? Cloward and Piven strategy in action. Alex Jones reposting Elon Musk. What are you doing, little squawky head? What are you doing? Elon Musk at Elon Musk on X saying demon rats are pushing hard to, quote, maximize payments to illegals, i.e. or e.g. in this case, free luxury hotels in New York and free medical care for illegals in California, as that is their current and future voter base. In case you missed it, Newsom extends free health care to 700,000 illegal immigrants despite record budget deficit. If you're not familiar with Cloward Piven, being referenced by Alexander Emmerich Jones over here, Info General Jones. Basically, Cloward and Piven were a husband and wife pair of professors at Columbia University back in like the 60s and 80s and stuff. And they came up with a strategy to overthrow the United States by bringing in illegals and overstressing all the systems, basically, by making them unsustainable, which will then cause a collapse. So this is exactly what he was talking about here as they're giving free healthcare, spending a bunch of money that they don't have, stressing the system, overstressing it, and this type of thing on a nationwide, national scale can lead to collapse, overextending your finances. And basically, that's exactly what Cloward and Piven suggested and promoted. And this Obama was in these classes, apparently, allegedly at Columbia, used this strategy And Wayne Allen Root was another student at Columbia at that time who has come out and exposed Cloward and Piven and explained that whole thing. Let's see. What happens if we search over on Brave for Cloward and Piven strategy? Cloward and Piven strategy. The Cloward-Piven strategy is a political strategy outlined by sociologists and political activists Richard Cloward and Francis Fox Piven. In 1966, the strategy aims to compel the government to implement significant anti-poverty measures by overloading the welfare system through an increase in welfare claims, thereby creating a political crisis. Cloward and Piven argued that existing welfare programs were inadequate to address the needs of the poor and proposed a radical approach to create a systemic overload by encouraging a large number of eligible individuals to apply for welfare benefits simultaneously. A potential method to create social unrest and economic manipulation to advance political agendas. So there you have that. Salt dumpster, flood the system, overrule the normie class, derpa derpa. Bacala, Haka Sherpa Sherpa, Muhammad Jihad. We've got 3 terrorists heading west on Bakalakadaka Street. I don't know, you just made me think of Team America. Salt dumpster. So there's the Cloward and Piven strategy. We also have Biden cronies cashing in. This is a crazy one right here. From Gateway Pundit, Jim Hoft writing this one. Biden cronies cash in. Vaccine company registered to a P.O. box run by ex-Biden staffers received $28 million in the administration's final months. Sounds like a little bit of laundering to me. A little bit of laundering. That's right, Talk Show. Awesome movie. It's really actually an impressive movie. It was so hard to make using the marionette puppets and just so brutal to film that they said they would never, ever do a sequel because it was just a nightmare to get everything right. But they did some really impressive work, and the faces of the mannequins in marionettes, sorry, the faces were so expressive and really, really impressive. So yeah, good stuff, Talk Show. Continuing, as the Biden administration exited the White House, millions of taxpayer dollars flowed into questionable hands. According to a report from Senator Joni Ernst, Republican from Iowa, a vaccine company barely in existence, registered to a Maryland post office box and helmed by former Biden administration officials, was quietly handed $28 million in federal funding from the National Institutes of Health's Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health, ARPA-H. In a letter addressed to newly appointed HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Ernst raised serious concerns about potential corruption, calling the massive federal buyout, quote, fishy, unquote. Quote, a vaccine company registered to a P.O. box and run by 2 former Biden staffers got $28 million in the final months of the Biden admin, and that seems fishy, Ernst wrote on X. Ernst, it's just a hilarious name. A 4-to-1 consonant to vowel ratio. That's insane. Continuing, quote, I've asked Secretary Kennedy to get the American people answers and end the practice of government slush funds. The company in question, Vaccine Company, Inc., appears to be nothing more than a shell operation. Despite, thanks Mama Mac for posting that. If you or your loved ones have been exposed or taken the mRNA jib jabs, check out the FLCCC post-vax protocol to cleanse the spike proteins from your body. My USAID-backed company was, quote, Discount Haitian Children, Inc. Easiest $32 million I ever made, Cheddar. Well, where's my share, bro? I'm expecting a money order. Just so fucked up. So fucked up. So the company was literally called Vaccine Company, Inc. Despite having no prior federal research contracts, it was inexplicably awarded $28.2 million in the fall of 2024 for vaccine research on flaviviruses such as Zika and dengue. Yet, according to federal records, the company's listed address is a mere P.O. box at a U.S. post office in Bethesda, Maryland. A simple records search revealed that no physical office space, lab, or manufacturing facility exists at this location. Wow. Ernst is demanding answers. Quote, how does a company barely in existence get this type of money? It's not a quote. I started the quote, then I realized I had already read the quote, so that was not a quote. Just to clarify that, I paraphrased it. Situation gets even murkier when looking at the company's leadership. Public filings show that Sonia Bernstein, a former Biden administration coup response staffer and HHS official, became Vaccine Company Inc.'s executive shortly before the company received its windfall. Yada, yada, yada. More information about that. Looks super duper sketchy. Looks a little bit more than fishy to me. It looks like fucking school of fishy. That's a whole fucking school of fish right there. Crazy stuff. Speaking of Canada caving, like Thomas Massey predicted, breaking from Christina Layla. Canada caves. Ontario Premier agrees to suspend surcharge on electricity exports to U.S. a few hours after Trump threatens retaliation. Resistance is futile. Ontario Premier Doug Ford agreed to suspend a surcharge on electricity exports to the U.S. states a few hours after Trump threatened retaliation against Canada. On Monday evening, Doug Ford threatened to cut off electricity to U.S. states in response to Trump's tariffs on Canada. In an act of war, in my opinion, a proposed act of war. Quote, if we go into a recession, it will be called the Trump recession, Doug Ford said in an interview with CNBC's Money Movers. If you guys made yourself internationally dependent and insufficient on your own, self-sufficient on your own end, then how is it Trump's fault if he stops supporting you? It's your fault. Live within your means, man, Doug Ford said, cutting off electricity to the U.S. is a tool in his toolkit. No, that's an act of war. Quote, testing. Can you guys hear me? Let me know in the chat. Sorry about that. Evie Mux glitched out again. If you can hear me, let me know. Testing. Mama Mac can hear me. Okay, that's cool, because again, the audio monitoring on my end shows that I'm still muted. But if you guys can hear me, I will just take your word for it. Thanks for letting me know in the chat. Appreciate you. 5x5, says Bryce Acosta. And we're back. That's right, Wendy. I don't know when exactly it it muted me. But Trump is slapping a 50% tariff on steel and aluminum, responding to the threat. And a few hours later, Doug Ford caved and said he has agreed to suspend its surcharge on exports of electricity to Michigan, New York, and Minnesota. Quote, please see a joint statement from the United States Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick and myself. Today, United States Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick and Premier of Ontario Doug Ford had a productive conversation about the economic relationship between the United States and Canada. In other words, you got bitch made. Secretary Lutnick agreed to officially meet with Premier Ford in Washington on Thursday, March 13th, alongside the United States Trade Representative to discuss a renewed USMCA ahead of the April 2nd reciprocal tariff deadline. In response, Ontario agreed to suspend its 25% surcharge on exports of electricity to Michigan, New York, and Minnesota. So there we have it. Canada cucking to the dawn, bending over Let's see what we got next. We also have Trump Australia story, mate. Let's see what we have here. U.S. President Donald Trump denies Australia tariff exemption on steel and aluminum. U.S. President Donald Trump has decided not to grant Australia, mate, an exemption from the newly imposed tariffs on steel and aluminum effective March 12th, 2025. This decision was communicated after Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's government made efforts to negotiate a reprieve. The tariffs will impact trade relations and have been described by some Australian commentators as a retaliatory move by Trump against Australia, mate. Anthony Albanese over here. Around the world and here at home, our government will always stand up for American jobs, or Australian jobs and Australian industries. The U.S. decision to impose tariffs on Australian steel and aluminum as part of a global decision is unjustified. As with the other products and resources that Australia has, we will continue to diversify markets for our products, which are in great demand globally. All Australians can join this effort and support our industries by taking the opportunity to buy Australian, mate. Buy Australian. Trump has delivered a crushing blow to the Albanese government as he rejected Australia's request to be exempt from tariffs by the U.S.
The United States' decision to impose tariffs on Australian steel and aluminium as part of a global decision are concerning. It has been foreshadowed that no country, regardless of its relationship with the United States, has been granted an exemption. Such a decision by the Trump administration is entirely unjustified. This is against the spirit of our two nations' enduring friendship and fundamentally at odds with the benefits that our economic partnership has delivered over more than 70 years. Australia has no tariffs on goods from the United States, and of course we have a free trade agreement with the United States. Our government will continue to put forward a very strong case for an exemption, noting that the last time this occurred, it took months for that exemption to be granted. We will advocate for Australian trade with the United States at every level and through every channel. Australia will continue working hard for a different outcome, and discussions with the Trump administration are ongoing. Our government is prepared and has been engaging directly with the Australian steel and aluminium industry, and will continue to work through this with them. As with other products and resources that Australia has, we will continue to diversify markets for our products, which are in demand globally.
Misty Knight, and no one wants to be
Oh,
stuck
boy.
with Misty Knight.
I don't think
Yeah.
Misty will be making an appearance tonight.
Well, Misty Knight. We know how boners are in Misty Knight.
I'll help you fed Misty. She's snoring on the couch right now.
I don't like that bit.
refreshed. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. Looks like you can hear me and see me potentially. So sorry about that. This has been episode 349. Lord Sterling signing out. Use the hashtags. Thanks to our new followers. Links to all the sources will be in the video description momentarily. Sorry for all the technical glitches. At least it happened right at the end of the show, right? Mama Mac, you can hear me now. Thanks. Yeah, I refreshed again. So sorry about all the technical stuff. We will be back tomorrow for more Common Censored. Until then, you know what to do. Think for yourself. Question authority. Think for yourself. Question authority. Think for yourself. Question authority. Think for yourself. And smash that like button, guys. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll be back tomorrow for a Wednesday hump day edition of Common Censored. Until then, take it sleazy and peace.